Welcome to the Sharpe Show. So happy to have you with me here right at 8 p.m. on the East Coast. And it is Monday, so it is a little bit later than usual. You know, Mondays I tend to go later because my daughter works today. So she comes home later, so we have dinner together. So I'm able to go on the show a little bit later than normal. So I'm happy that you all have joined me this evening. And there were, again, many things I wanted to chat about today. I thought back and forth, what should I pick up? But you guys were talking to me about the riots. I remember you guys talking to me about the riots, telling me what you thought about it. And I kind of pushed them off a little bit. I tend to push riots off a bit because as a general rule, I feel like they tend to not sadly matter much, if that makes any sense. They tend to not do much. That's a tendency, not 100%, but it's a tendency, right? So I do worry about that piece. That they tend to not do much at all. That is my concern when it comes to riots. But this might be different. This one might be a little bit different, maybe, only because Trump is doubling, tripling down. So maybe. I wanted to bring it up. And I also want to ask, do we think that this is actually something that, do we think it's actually something that is going to help Trump, even though it seems like it's aggressive and people could see it as being bad, people could see it as being a problem, people could see it as him failing in theory? I don't think so. I think this is going to wind up being pretty good for him. And I can grab this if I could. This is from, again, I try to grab, I don't want to, you generally speaking, you're not going to see me like show Fox News talking about Trump very much, right? Because I try to show people who would say, I don't want that, I don't want, I want someone who doesn't like Trump or would be anti-Trump or would be more neutral. I tend to look for those. So I grabbed, of course, CNN. CNN notoriously not pro-Trump, but showing some things that I think are kind of important.
We're talking about the analysis in the New York Times this morning. There was an article written saying that
New York Times too. Yep.
President Trump is getting what he wants from these clashes in Los Angeles over immigration and immigration raids. Why? Why does he feel that way? With us now, CNN chief data analyst Harry Enton.
This guy is becoming like a star. And the funny part is, in the past, if the polling guy was anti what the message was, that guy was gone. It didn't matter if that was Fox, MSNBC, CNN. I think this guy's popular and people are watching him. And CNN's like, we could use anybody to watch us. So if it's the polling guy, fine. We will take it. We will take the polling guy because we need somebody to watch. So, okay, polling guy, you're our new star. We're going to give you a show at 7, whatever. Just let someone watch our damn terrible channel.
So let's unpack that a little bit. The issue of immigration. How is President Trump seen as doing on that?
Yeah, if we just take a look at the baseline numbers here, this is Trump's net approval rating on immigration. It's gone up like a rocket. Compare now versus 8 years ago.
And this is the piece that I know some of you, particularly those of you who are more pro-immigration, and I am too, right? I'm being very clear. I'm not saying this that I agree with the crackdowns. I was scared of this for a long time. I always was, and I was very forward. But it doesn't change the reality. I'm the oddball here. Americans, absolutely, as a whole, want a whole lot more immigration control. Americans as a whole want more of a crackdown, hardcore. They do. Americans as a whole want to shut the border down. That's a fact. You can be mad at it all you want, call them whatever you want to call them names. It's still true. Trump said he was going to be doing this, and he's doing it. Americans aren't unhappy. You might personally be unhappy. Americans are not. They're like, yeah, this is fine. Don't stop. What's wrong? They're not unhappy about this.
During Trump's first term. Look at this. In his first term, Trump was way, way, way underwater at minus 21 points. But look at this. He's up over 20 points. Now, in the aggregate, he is in positive territory at plus 1 point on his net approval rating. Some other polls even have it a little bit higher than that. There is.
This is a piece where this is making up for his shortfalls in foreign policy. Now, if you like Trump, you don't like me saying that, but again, that also is true. Trump is not doing what he said for foreign policy. He's not. He is failing in the Israeli-Gaza conflict. He is failing in the Ukraine-Russia conflict compared to what he said. Now, I'm being very open in this regard, and that is what I'm saying here is I'm being very open because, look, do I think Harris would have done better when it comes to Israel, Gaza, or Ukraine and Russia? No. But Trump did promise a lot for that. So compared to what he promised, he's being hardcore on immigration. He said he would, and he is. Compared to what he promised when it came to foreign policy, he's not. He's not. He promised a whole lot. He's not delivering. This is a great distraction for him. See, look, the thing I said, I'm being hard on immigration. See, look, I told you, and I'm doing it. And America's like, yeah, you're right. It's true.
No issue on which Trump is doing so much better than he was in his first term, more than the issue of immigration. No wonder the Times has written up the way that he is.
Yes. Now, a couple of you guys already bring up stuff. Hat for the ass, I like that, nice, says there's nothing resembling riots right now. What is this clickbait title? First off, yes, it's clickbait. I'm glad it worked because you're watching. So please keep watching, number one. But the second piece is, of course they make it look like a riot. Why wouldn't they? Now, are there riots throughout LA? To be forward, no. Are there riots in small parts of LA? Yes, there are. To say it's not resembling a riot, that's not true. That's false. That's your propaganda. There are, but it's actually far smaller than they're acting. They're acting like LA's on fire. It's not. That's true. That part is correct. But of course they do this. Why? Is it because they love Trump or something? No, it's because this is what gets ratings. You said I'm clickbaity. Brother, they're worse than me. I don't have riots smashing stuff here. I'm not doing that. They're doing that. So to be forward, for those who don't know, there are riots. What Hatfield is saying is not exactly true. There are riots, but it's in a small part of LA. It's just in a small part. And it looks as though it's trashing the entire place. And it's just not. It's not the Rodney King. It's not BLM. It's nowhere near that. It's not even as bad as like when the Lakers win or something. It isn't that bad. But there is a small section. Hold on. There is a small section where there's a lot of rioting going on in a small section. That is true. Yes. But only in that area. It isn't as bad as they say, but of course they want to, right? If I'm CNN, I'm MSNBC, Fox, I want it to be as like, oh my God, the world's ending, right? Trash it all day. Oh, but it's not. The world is not ending. It isn't that big of a deal. Most people who are in LA don't even know what's happening. I mean, they know because the news tells them, but they can't even tell. So most people who live in LA can't even tell what's happening. If you live in LA, tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm right, because I have friends in LA who told me like, oh yeah, it's over in this area, which I don't know the areas of LA. I'm a New Yorker, so they told me whatever. Downtown, it might not be, but whatever. It's in one area of LA that there's problems. That's how it is. So yes, Phil says LA's massive. LA County is the largest county by population in the entire country, almost 10 million people. So it's huge. I mean, LA, the city is smaller than New York, the city, but the county is larger. So yeah, it is the largest one. And they all say that. So yeah. Anyway, my point being, that's true. So and here's the other issue is people who hate Trump, they want to use it and make it big, like the world's ending. See, Trump is causing havoc. He's causing the riots and people are dying. They want to do that. And people who love Trump want to go, see, the crazy libs are wrecking the city and they're burning it down and Trump's going to save them. So both of them are acting like LA is burning because they both have an agenda which they think is correct. But my gut says this is helping Trump far more than it's helping. And the sad part is the people who like Trump are like, great. Oh, good. He's going to look amazing. Tough on crime, right? Oh, iron fist, all that cool stuff they love. If you don't like Trump, you haven't learned anything. Scolding Trump never works. Scolding Trumpsters never works. Insulting Trump never works. Insulting Trump lovers never works. The answer is finding a better answer. And sadly, most Democrats just don't want to do that because that's hard. That takes a lot of time, energy, and effort. And I'd rather just yell at people and raise money because I'll just yell and say Trump bad, give me money. And so many people, Democrats, will be afraid and go, okay, fine. I'm scared of Trump. I'll give you money. But you're not getting new people to vote. not very helpful. So, and the polls, I think, show that.
Trump is begging for a fight on this because he knows what he's doing so far is working with the American electorate.
Where does immigration rank on issues for him? How is he doing?
See, this guy doesn't like that. He's like, ugh, I want Trump to be bad. Why won't you just say orange man bad? And he's like, dude, I'm just telling you, people, this is his issue for most Americans. And if you're someone who is pro-immigration, if you lean left, the person to blame here is Biden. It's Biden. Even Obama wasn't this loose on immigration. He wasn't, and Obama was in, at least in rhetoric. In rhetoric, Obama was more pro-immigration than Trump. In practice, Obama was the worst. But in rhetoric, Obama was far better than Trump in immigration. Biden just let it all go, right? And he did it because, of course, big business wants all these people in. Of course, that's the reason why. But Biden just let it go. He let it go so bad that now America's like, I don't care. I do something. I don't care. And Trump goes, okay, I'll send the Marines. And America's like, fine, I don't care. Do something. That's Biden's fault. Biden made it to where that's why America's there. Obama didn't do that. I'm not an Obama fan, but I'm just being very forward again. In rhetoric, Obama was far better than Trump. In practice, he wasn't better. But in rhetoric, he was. And Obama was nowhere near as bad in the border as Biden was. Biden's terrible on the border.
Doing compared to others.
Yeah, so I think what's so important is it is his top issue so far. And the reason it is his top issue is because take a look at the individual nuggets in here. Why are people?
And that's the piece that's important. Because they didn't just ask, who do you trust more in immigration? Which is still an important question, but very generic. And almost always you compare to Biden. Biden was terrible in immigration. So, of course, they're going to go Trump. But they would have said Obama would have beat Biden. Bush would have beat Biden. Clinton would have beat Biden. Like anybody would have beaten Biden in immigration, right? So while that question is an important question, nowhere near as valuable as this one. This is specific. This is saying the Trump administration's program to deport those here illegally. That is a very specific. That doesn't matter if it's Biden, if it's Trump, if it's Clinton, Bush, doesn't matter. That's specific. 54%. And to be clear, this was last week. This was last week. So Americans had already seen what's happening. They had already seen the shipping people to El Salvador. All that's already been seen. And Americans are like, nope, get them out. So those you pro-immigration guys, you would be feeling bad. I'm just saying, this is a good question. This is specific.
People approving of Trump on immigration, approve of these different immigration actions, while Trump's administration's program to deport those here illegally. Look at this, 54% approval. How about agents searching your hometown for those that they think are here illegally? Again, positive territory here, above 50% for Donald Trump. So
and
it's
this
not
is
just
saying agents searching your town. That's the question they asked. Agents searching your town for those they think are here illegally. 51% said yes, and they already know they might be going to El Salvador. They already know they sent some people who shouldn't have gone to El Salvador. They already know there's lawsuits. And Americans still said, get them. Come into my town. There's not even a NIMBY here. No, my town. Yeah, yes, in my backyard. Yes, they're YIMBYs. They're not even NIMBYs. They're yes in my backyard. That's America right now. Now, I'm not happy about that. I don't like agents searching towns for illegals. I don't like it. I'm a libertarian. Why the hell would I like that? But it doesn't change what the fact is. It doesn't change where America is. It doesn't change what a mistake that Biden made. Again, Obama didn't make this error. Neither did Clinton. So it's not a Democratic error. It's a Biden error. It's not a Democratic error. Clinton didn't do this. Obama didn't do this. Biden did. Biden either didn't know. I mean, who knows what he knew, right? With his auto pay. Who knows? I don't know, right? So either Biden didn't know, and the big wheels around him said, he's asleep. Open the border. We need the migrants in. As I tell you all the time, 8 million young men have checked out. So they're not working anymore. And AI is going to dump the other jobs that these guys want. Who's going to do the hard jobs? Americans don't want those. And it's too expensive when we do it. Let's bring in some cheap labor, the people who do the jobs that we need to do, and cheap labor. Let's do that. And they did. And either Biden said yes, either he said, yep, good, go do it, or he didn't know and he was, I don't know, sleeping or something, whatever. And then other people around him did it. One of the other. Either way, that was Biden's responsibility, whether he knew it or not. It was his responsibility. Again, Clinton didn't do it. Obama didn't do it. Trump shouldn't be this popular. This shouldn't be this popular. But it is. It is. And then the worst part is when the migrants came into the cities, which are sanctuary cities, as you know. If this was 3-4 years ago when migrants came in, and look, to be forward, Obama let migrants in, just nowhere near as much as Biden did. But in the small trickle he let them in, New York and LA were happy with them. They're like, fine, we take them. We weren't complaining. I live in New York City. We weren't complaining about them. We're like, fine. You put 200,000 in my city in 1 year, and then you don't fix it. You already have a housing problem for the lockdowns. You don't fix that problem. Then you bring the migrants in, and you throw the homeless people out and put the migrants in because it's better money. You have another industrial complex. You don't fix that problem. Well, yeah, now I'm pissed. Now I'm like, Trump, do whatever. Send Holman in. Okay, do whatever. We don't care. That's not a smart move. Newsom said, I don't care if you arrest me in California. That was stupid. That was stupid. Holman, as I told you guys last year, my worry about Holman is he is a zealot. It's obvious he's a zealot. And when someone told Trump that Newsom said, arrest me, Trump was like, it's a good idea. You just let a zealot Holman know he can start arresting people? Newsom, that was not smart. Holman doesn't care. That dude's a zealot. He will arrest him. He'll arrest you, your family, your cousin. He'll send you all to El Salvador. I don't know what this guy's thinking. Holman's a zealot, and Trump didn't go, well, let me see. I don't know. We'll think. He was like, good idea. Holman, get him. You got the president letting Holman off the leash. I don't want to be in the area when they let Holman off the leash. That's not a good thing. He was my worry the whole time. Do you guys remember? I said this months ago. So I don't know why, unless Newsom said it up front, then called home and go, I'm just kidding, brother. Come on now. It's fine. Come on. It's fine. And that could have happened. I mean, Newsom might have talked trash in front of the newspaper. Newspaper, how old am I? In front of the reporter. And then called up Holman and said, brother, I got jokes. Holman, I got jokes. You know me. Got the nice hair. I got the jokes. I'm just joking. It's jokes. You don't got to come arrest me. That might have happened. Because now he's suing. And you know how scared Trump is of lawsuits. Not. So, yeah. Anyway, let me keep going. Joel over on Instagram says, no lies detected. Agreed. None detected. I agree completely. Yes. All righty. Let me go down here. I am finding Sharpe Fan 12 says, yes, President Trump has not stopped the wars, but at least he's trying instead of just watching and sending arms cash. True. Yes. Look, some people think that Trump is destined to fail in the wars, and that may be true. I hope it's not. And it's not because I'm a Trump fan or not. It's I'm an anti-war fan. I wanted Biden to be successful, and he clearly was not. I wanted Obama to close Gitmo. He didn't. Right. But I wanted all those things. Right. I want Trump to end the wars. I hope he can. It does not look good. That's true. I'm not sugarcoating this. It doesn't look good. It looks like he will not be able to end either war. That's what it looks like. But I don't want to believe that. So I hope that he can still do it. Harris would have never done it. You're right. Sharpe Fan, you're correct. She would have never done it. If Harris had won, throw more money into Israel, throw more money into Ukraine, not even thinking twice, that's what we would have done. So there's something at least. That's what I would say. So there is something. You're right. So, all righty. Let's see. Space Jason says, nothing red pills me more than leftist riots. There's the next piece, Space. Thank you for bringing that up. When Trump doubles down on law and order, I know a lot of people don't like it. I hate that excuse. I do too. I hate the excuse. That's the reason for putting people in jail. I get it. But when Americans feel like nothing's working, and nothing is working real as well as it should, then they want law and order. It's like, I don't care, do it. Then when the left start, when the left, however you define that, starts doing this, it doesn't matter if they're the left, because they are made the left by everybody. So even those people aren't leftists, even if they aren't, it doesn't matter. Everyone sees them as that. Why? Because they're anti-Trump. So by default, they are the left. Whether they are or not is actually irrelevant. I know some of you are like, well, they're this or they're that. It doesn't matter. I don't mean to be mean. It doesn't matter. They're seen as the left. They're seen as the left, and they're being violent, and they're fighting cops, and they're breaking stuff. And people who don't care are going, these lefties are nuts. Maybe I'm glad I voted for Trump. That's happening right now. So this is what the guys over TYT always say this. Cenk Uygur, he always says this violence never helps the left. And whether you like Cenk or not, he's correct. This is correct. It doesn't help. The violence does not help. The BLM riots don't help. This didn't help. This isn't helping. None of this stuff is helping. It's not making things better. The unaliving of people, that is not helping. And the problem is, some people who are already hardcore left think it is because it motivates them because they're already zealots. And that part's true. Does it motivate your zealot base? Yes. But does that get you any new votes? Any new converts? No. It's only red meat to a base that already supports you. That's why it's not helpful. It does make your base more excited. Oh, we're doing stuff. Look, we're rioting. We're doing stuff. We're powerful. Okay, great. They're happy, but they were already with you. If you want to make this movement work, you got to get new people on board. It's like me getting on my show every day, just yelling taxation is theft every day. Yeah, libertarians love that stuff, but no one else comes. It'll be me and 7 libertarians just yelling taxation is theft every day. Nice, and we'll feel really good, but that's it. Nothing else will happen from it. So it's the same concept. All right, let me grab some more of this.
Just on the broad issue of immigration where Trump is doing well, it's on the specifics. When you dive into the issues, Trump is above 50% and his actions are above 50%, at least with those most directly connected to what's going on right now out in Los Angeles.
So Donald Trump, the president, picking a fight on this. And to an extent, you see Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, a Democrat, and the California Governor Gavin Newsom pushing back. So what do voters see in terms of their perceptions of Republicans, the president, or Democrats, say Gavin Newsom on this issue?
Yeah, the American electorate believe that the Democrats don't have a clue on the issue of immigration. I mean, you could just take it here. Closer to trust more in immigration, Democrats versus Republicans. Got 3 different polls for you across the board. They all tell the same story. Republicans lead on the issue of.
And the reason why, you hear me say all the time, desperate people do desperate things. When people are desperate, Americans are desperate, we just agree. I don't care. I don't care. Right? Phil says it. He goes, I think sending Marines is shaky legally. No question. Taking the National Guard, that's shaky legally. I agree with you completely. But this goes to my point. The American people don't care. If they don't care, then it doesn't matter. And that's the part that many people don't get, which is, but it's illegal. So what? If the legal system has been failing for decades, the people go, why do I follow this stupid system that doesn't help me? I don't care, but it's illegal. And then what do they think? Which is what I always think. The person who screams what's legal all the time, that's all they ever talk about, that's someone who's establishment and privileged. And people don't like when I say that. But if all you care about is what's legal, not what's right or what works, you only care about what's legal. Now, again, someone's going to straw man me and go, so everything should be illegal? I didn't say that, you knucklehead. I know some of you thought that. And if you're that knucklehead, stop it. That's not the way to think. It's not what I said. So, but when people get tired and think a system doesn't work, they become okay with bending the rules because the system doesn't work. And that happens all the time. So I agree with you, Phil. I think the Marine thing is, we're now sending our troops and our own people. No, but people are like, I don't care. We got in New York City, I had 200,000 migrants come into my city last year. Now, if I'll play the game, 99% of good people, right? New York's a sanctuary city, and I'm not mad about that, right? I'm mad that we let 200,000 migrants in my city with no plan. That's what I'm mad about. But say 99% are all good. I just put 2,000 gangbangers in my city. The average gang is maybe 200 people. So I put 10 new gangs in my city. I'm not happy about that. Now, does that mean I want Marines coming in? No, but I'm a libertarian. I would never want Marines coming in. So that's the point. I'm a former Marine. I know what we do. So, I mean, Marines go in and break things. That's what we do. We're good at it. We go break things. I don't want them here, right? I want them fighting in some other country. I don't want them in my country, right? Fight them in some other country, right? I don't want them here. But I understand it is my point. This goes back to my empathy piece from yesterday. Empathy matters. I get why people think it. They are desperate, and they say, I don't care about those rules. It doesn't matter. They don't care. Hat for the S says, I'll cut through all the noise of what's going on right now and openly say that Donald Trump is an out-and-out constitutional traitor by any reasonable objective measure. Irrelevant, my friend. I just said it. Irrelevant. So I'd rather have the constitutional leader who makes sure that our country keeps falling apart and won't solve our problems and maintains inequality for 20, 30, 40 years and keeps the wars going on and keeps our debt going on and keeps our country decaying and lets 200,000 migrants into my city. No, I don't care. And I'm not saying me. I'm saying how Americans think. And this insult will not work. They have said he's a criminal for 10 years. Literally 34 count felony. Everyone knew that already. They still support him. They still voted for him. And he'd probably win an election today if he ran again. This insult means nothing. It makes you feel good, I guess. So many people like to say stuff and make them feel good. It's ineffective. It means nothing. The people who don't like Trump already think that. The people who like Trump don't care. It's irrelevant. It means nothing. They're not going to put him in jail. They're not going to impeach him. And then you remember, and again, a lot of you don't like when I say this. When it comes to politics, it's the mafia. The courts, whatever. Half of our judges just do whatever the party says anyway. It's not. It's the mafia. That's how it is. It's the mafia. He was convicted, and still president. Does it matter? No. And he's not going to pay anything. Remember all that stuff? He's going to pay all that. He's not paying anything. I guarantee he pays nothing. He's not going to pay a thing. It's going to be thrown out. He's not going to pay a thing. In fact, I bet his felonies will be thrown out. Everything's going to be thrown out. All will be thrown out. It won't matter at all. So yes. Sharpe fan says, can you name a recent president that has not broken the Constitution? No, they all do. The question is, do we as American people, do we go as far? And we often do. And we often do. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying it doesn't matter. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter. Shelley says, riot, injuries, and property damage isn't good for anyone. True. Well, not well for the individuals. It can be good for leaders. It can be good for leaders.
Immigration. You see it here, CBS +6. You see it here, CNN +6. You see it here, Ipsos, even bigger, +19. No matter what poll you look at, no matter which way you cut it, the American public is with the Republicans. The American public is with Donald Trump, and to a much greater extent than they were in term number one. And it's not just on the broad issue of immigration. It's on the specifics as well, in which the American public is with Donald Trump and the Republicans. And that is why Donald Trump is eager to take on this fight and eager for those scenes out of Los Angeles.
True. Grand Regent Thrag says, convicted felon and EpiPen Island visitor. And they knew that too before they voted for him. Same thing. Great. You said some insulty thing. Doesn't work. The only chance, and this is the reason, and I brought this up last week, if you remember. I was talking about Mamdani in my city running for mayor. I'm not a leftist. I do not like Mamdani's plans. I think his plans are a terrible idea. I think it will not work. And I understand why people like him. Again, I get it. No one else has an answer. Mamdani, I showed you. He has an answer. He says, we're gonna freeze the rent, we're gonna make the buses free, and we're gonna tax the rich. Now, I think those are terrible ideas, but it doesn't matter what I think. What matters is New Yorkers go, oh, that's a plan to fix things. Huh. I haven't heard one of those in decades. Let's do that. It's a plan. Remember, when people have two options, no plan or a bad plan, they take the bad plan. It's what we do as humans again and again and again. And what Harris offered last year, Grand Regent, is nothing. That's what she offered. What are you going to change from Biden? Nothing. She offered nothing. So she had no plan or Trump's bad plan. I wonder why I lost. Because you're a crappy candidate with no plan. And what do Democrats do? It's because racism and sexism. Insanely stupid. Absolutely not true. Garbage I saw today. There was someone today talking about the reason why Harris was sexism. For those of you who don't know, in 2016, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. So that means America, by popular vote, not electoral college, by popular vote, voted for a woman in 2016. And you tell me we become more misogynistic in the past 8-9 years? Stop. That's bullshit cope. She was a terrible candidate with no plan, and that's why she lost. Again, Hillary Clinton, 8-9 years ago, won the popular vote. That's a woman, by the way. The country's not misogynistic. That shit Democrats make up because they're mad. That's cope. Absolutely not true. And we voted for a black president twice, even after the first. Now, I get why 2008 you vote for Obama. I get it. But again, in 2012, he was already a crappy president. We still put him in the second time. So the idea that America is racist or misogynistic, demonstrably, provably false, absolute garbage, coped by established Democrats who don't want to accept they had a shit candidate with no plan. So I get what you're saying, Grant Regent, but it doesn't matter. She had no plan. And to be forward, Democrats still have no plan. Except Mamdani. That's the only dude with a plan, and that's the Democrat who's moving and rocking and rolling because she's got a plan. Stop insulting people and come up with a plan. You might win an election. Mamdani could win this thing. Why? Because he's got a plan. That's the reason. Because he's got a plan. Anyway, I yapped away, but let me go a little further if I can.
Just going to use that word eager. This explains some of that eagerness to push forward ever more on this as it escalates. Harriet, and thank you very much.
The group chat, CNN politics senior reporter Stephen Collinson, Republican strategist and CNN political commentator Brad Todd, and CNN contributor.
Now they're talking about how Newsom is going to sue because that'll solve it. Now, should Newsom sue? Yes. Why should Newsom sue? Because what do Democrats want to see? If I was a Democrat, what would I want to see? I'd want to see you try to fight Trump somehow. And most Democrats have given up. They don't think they can beat him. At least Newsom's trying to do something. I think it was dangerous for him to say Holman should arrest him. It was dangerous, but it was very good politically. Remember, when Biden was at his strongest is when he was talking about taking Trump out back and you're beating him up. Remember that? When he was talking about that, Democrats ate that up. They love that. They were like, yeah, take Trump out back and take him out. They love that. Fighters is what Democrats need. Newsom is acting like a fighter. It's not a bad idea politically. It's just it may be dangerous for him personally, but it's not a bad idea for him politically. That's all.
Lulu Garcia Navarro. I was talking during the break about whether or not this is still an immigration story.
Yeah, absolutely. Grand Regent says, masked up agents running in churches and schools. Shake my head. You tell me America wants that? Clearly, yes, dude. Clearly. Yes. That's literally my point. If you don't want to believe it, you don't have to. It's up to you. The data is in. Where's the move to impeach Trump? I don't see it. Nowhere. Where are the polls showing Trump's failing? Nowhere. And they see the same things you see. I'm not saying I agree, but just because this is the thing we have to understand, and I hope more of you will see this. Just because you think it's wrong or bad doesn't mean the rest of the country agrees with you. I'm a libertarian. I know I'm maybe 3% of the country. Maybe. On a good day, I'm 3% of the country. So most of the country disagrees with everything I think. It doesn't mean that I can't understand what I'm thinking. So, dude, think what you want. I mean that honestly. I'm glad you're watching. The data's in. Yes, Americans are totally okay with it. You're saying once. No, they're okay with. They don't want it. What they wanted was an answer from Biden. That's what they wanted. He didn't give it to them. So Trump said, I got one. I'm going to have people with masks on running the churches. That's my plan. What's your plan, Harris? Nothing. We'll take the masks then. That what I just said is literally what happened. Again, I go back to Obama. Obama didn't have his problem. Bush didn't have his problem. Neither did Clinton. Only Biden had this problem. Only Biden. This isn't a Democrat-Republican thing. They're going to tell you it is. It's not. This is a specific Biden administration problem, and Harris couldn't unfuck this. So that's why they don't want it. But yes, they're taking it. Clearly they are. Clearly they are. I'm just saying the evidence is in front of you, my friend. If you don't want to see it, it's okay. You don't have to. The evidence is in front of you.
Sort of how we're thinking about this moment. Can I kind of open it?
Guy, this is not pop. It's going to be tribunals. Stop. What country you live in? Stop. You watching the wrong YouTube channels. You watching some. Name the amount of money I will bet you there will be no tribunals at all. None. You are living in a fantasy world. Never going to happen ever. And it's rare that I say that. I have to go, maybe, could be. Never going to happen. You are never going to happen. In a bazillion, never. You live in a fantasy world, my friend. Keep waiting on that. Keep waiting on that. Never going to happen. That's a fantasy world. Never going to happen at all.
To you guys.
This is a very perilous moment because what we're seeing here is a fight that President Trump wants to have.
Meaning with blue states.
With blue states, about immigration.
I think he wins here. I think Trump does win this one. Patty says, so like the Yahtzees with an N searching for Anne Frank will happen again? Oh, yeah, it will. And just like the well, in that case, it was the Dutch. Just like the Germans, to be fair, and I mentioned before, you go to the Germans in that time frame. There was a small chunk of Germans who actually had no idea what was happening. And they're like the very rural Germans, those who lived in the mountains. So there was a small chunk who didn't know what was happening. Then there was the leadership who 100% knew exactly what was going on. And were all in, yes. But the vast majority of Germans were like, all right, whatever. I get to have a job. I get to pay my bills. I don't have to have 2,000% inflation. Okay, whatever. That was a huge chunk of Germans. They didn't, to Grant's point, they didn't want it. Again, there was a chunk who absolutely did. Most Germans didn't want it. They were like, it's fine, whatever. Americans will do whatever when that happens. You can see it already. It's happening right now. It's happening right now. They're going to be like, I guess. Already happening. Already happening. So Sharpe says, no, Larry, most of the country agrees with some of the things you think, just not all the things you think. You know, thank you for that, Sharpe. It's true. You're right. You're right. I have a very wide view of things, not straight Republican or Democratic. So yes, if you pick all of my things, you can find a bunch of people who agree. That's true. But if you take all of my thought process, I am often not the one that, yeah, that's true. Good point. So yeah, all righty. So I'm glad you guys are here, though. I appreciate all the back and forth completely. You got a lot of stuff to say. I love it. Keep talking. He says, no, this dude is as buried in the culture war BS as everyone else is. I'm not sure who this dude is. Is that me or is that Trump? If it's me, I'm not. That's not true. If it's Trump, yes. And why wouldn't he? That's how he made his bones. He ran on anti-woke stuff. And Harris wasn't savvy enough. To be forward, if you're a Democrat, to be actually fair, Harris is not a Marxist. That's not a thing. That's a story Republicans told. She's not a Marxist. It's not a thing. And she hardly ran on woke stuff at all. If you look at what she actually said and did, she wasn't woke. She didn't say any of that stuff. She didn't. Her communications team was incompetent in getting her to say she wasn't woke. So when the Republicans said she's a Marxist, she's woke, there was no counter to that, even though she clearly wasn't and still isn't. That's not who she is. Waltz is more woke than her. Waltz is more of a Marxist than her. She's not either of those two things. But her communications team was incompetent. They were unable to get that out. So everyone in the right was like, yeah, she's the woke Marxist, which she's not. But that's how we won the culture war. It absolutely worked. So I don't know. You may be mad at it. I get it, but it totally worked. There's no doubt it worked. Let me grab a couple of these if I can. Phil, thank you for the $5. African and Latin American countries often deport people, i.e. Indians in Kenya or Central American in Mexico, Will it hurt Trump politically with some immigrants? Yes, it will. However, there is a weird thing about immigrants in America that people don't get. Many immigrants in America, the ones who are more successful, they self-select. What does that mean? Many who are successful, they come here because they are already wealthy or thinking a certain way, or already educated in their country, and they can't get ahead in their country. Many of them come here and become very successful. Those immigrants, very often, they pull the ladder up. Now, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just being forward. They pull the ladder up. They're like, I made it. I'm now legal. I'm making money. I don't care about you. That happens often. So if you notice, what happens often is the first round of immigrants who come in very often vote left. The second round and third round, they very often vote right. It's true. That's a common thing. So will it hurt Trump politically with some immigrants? Yes, but most of those can't vote for him anyway. That's why he's doing better and better with Hispanics, right? Better and better. Why? Because the longer we go, the more second, third, fourth generation Hispanics we have. They vote right. They don't vote left. You're seeing more and more of that, particularly with men, right? Particularly those who try to make more money, who want to work more. So, yeah, will that hurt with some, but not that many. If you look at and again, here's the issue. I don't know. I'm saying Trump. The Republican Party, I don't know what's going to happen when Trump goes away. If the Trump part of the party holds, remember, there's 4 factions in the party. If the Trump faction holds strong and there's someone who can be, I guess, Trumpian enough, strong-willed enough, then they may hold. But if they bring in some another neocon or whatever, like a Rubio type or something like that, that may change. You may find it swap back and forth. You might. But yeah, I hope that makes sense. Phil goes on to say, thank you for $2. Does this affect Protect the Guard legislation? Yes. This is the whole point. For those of you who know, Protect the Guard is the idea that the legislation that states enact that say the states will not allow the president to enact or fertilize the guard unless it's a declaration of war. And that's what should happen. That's how it should be. Now, there's an exception, right? And the exception is if the governor asks for it. And in this case, California, he did not. Newsom's story is, and I don't know if it's just true, it looks like it's not true, but it might be. I don't know. I haven't done enough homework on this to know. But Newsom's story is things weren't as bad until Trump sent the guard in, then it got worse. That's Newsom's story. Is that true? I actually don't know if that's true. That's also the mayor's story. The mayor's like, it wasn't that bad. Then Trump sent the people in, and now it's bad. So I haven't done enough homework to know if that's true. I don't doubt it. It could be true. I mean, Trump acted quickly, far quicker than most presidents do. And he did it without them. They didn't ask for it. They said, don't send, and he did. And it was in a small area. So it wasn't like LA's burning, and all of a sudden it's a big deal. So we may find out later that's true. I'm not sure. So I don't know. I don't know if that's true. It could be. I don't know if it's true. So there we go. Shelly says it's only downtown LA and it's a relatively medium-sized area. Okay, there we go. See, I don't know LA very well. I've been there a couple times, but I couldn't find my way around it, if you ask me. I don't know it very well at all. So yeah. James says, I'm sure this is just a way for Trump to distract us from his breakup with Elon Musk. If Elon decides to join a third party, I will start respecting him for seeing the light and rebelling. I don't know about that, to be forward. I don't know. I'm still torn on what Elon's trying to achieve. Look, do I want Elon? And again, what I want doesn't mean it's true, right? I get those two things. They may not be true. I hope Elon was serious about the debt. I hope he was serious about helping to fix and get rid of all the bad. I hope that's true. I don't know if it's true. I hope it is. In the future, we'll see. A year or two from now, is he still the chief grift master of the world? Then he wasn't serious. If a year from now he's doing something else, okay, then we'll see if it's true. I don't know. He's a great grifter. That's true. I hope you're right. I do. I hope next year I come back and go, James, on the money, brother. Look at Elon. I hope that's true. I'm not sure I'm going to bet on that. I'm not sure I'm going to bet on that. That's all I'm saying. So, yeah. All righty. Grand Regent says, this is all Trump laying the groundwork for his Palantir surveillance. I'll go one step further. I think this is actually a distraction from that. I think it's a distraction more from that than even the wars. More from that than even Elon. I think he kind of likes the Elon fight a bit because that's also distraction, right? I think he kind of likes that. He doesn't mind. Trump doesn't mind that fight. He doesn't mind that. He doesn't get mad at that stuff at all. A lot of people do. Not Trump. He's okay with it, right? So, in fact, sometimes he likes it. I would bet he's okay with this. He's like, good, Elon, fight me, whatever. Yes. Yep. So he says, Tom Homan was in charge in both administrations, so I don't see how it helps either administration. Because without question, Trump is letting Homan go do what he wants. And that hasn't happened before. That hasn't happened before. So, yeah. Hat says, I think you're discounting how many people refuse to believe truth and how many never meet with the truth at all, given how strong the propaganda machine is for the right in USA. I don't know if that was for me or not. I don't know what you mean by that. If that's for me, I don't know what you mean by that. Are you saying that? I feel like you're explaining why I'm right. That's how I'm reading this. Maybe I'm reading it wrong. You're saying, well, these people don't know. Well, it doesn't matter. My point doesn't matter, right? If what you're saying is true, okay, I'm still right. It doesn't matter. So how do you get someone to see you as correct? How do you grow, right? And all I can tell you, Hat, is how I did it. That's what I know. I was some dude in 2018. That's what I was. Some dude. And a year later, I was on Joe Rogan, Glenn Beck, talking about stuff. Why? Not because I'm super handsome. I mean, I am super handsome, but that isn't the reason why. The reason was because I had plans. I had everything I'm saying now, I said in 2018 and did. And I had plans. Now, some people didn't like my plans. I thought my plans were stupid. They're libertarian plans. A lot of people didn't like them. If you're not libertarian, you like my plans. But I had plans. Other people didn't. And guys like Rogan and Beck were like, I love your ideas. I love your plans. And they brought me up. And I was able to become, for a libertarian, popular. So I'm qualifying this. Not popular, for a libertarian, popular. Why? Because of that. So I go back to that. No one's going to listen if you don't have a plan. Mamdani was a regular dude, right? I had him on my show like 3 years ago. I knew he was special because I knew he had plans. He called himself a sewer socialist, great marketing. I knew this guy was going to be good years ago. That's why I put him on my show years ago. But he was a nobody. I don't mean to be mean, but he was. That's true. Now he's known across the goddamn country. Why? He got a plan. When people hear a plan, they start sharing the plan. That's how you grow, and people then, to your point, hear the truth and believe the truth. Why would I believe the truth? Why would someone think I'm smart? Because I just say I'm smart? No, who cares? Because someone who they respect says I'm smart. So if you like Glenn Beck, and I'm on Glenn Beck's show, and Glenn Beck says Larry's smart, and if you like Glenn Beck, you go, oh, Larry must be smart. I believe him now. Why? Because Glenn Beck said so, and I trust Glenn Beck, or Joe Rogan, or whatever, Hot 97, wherever you're on, right? Mamdani was just on Hot 97. I was on 2018 also. He was just on. So if you watch Hot 97 and you like Ebro and you think he's a cool guy and brings on good people, you now believe him. That's how you see it. It goes right back to my idea of plans. You got to have ideas. That's the only way you break through it. And then people, whoever you respect, has to say, this is a good idea. And you go, oh, I respect that person. Okay.
About the rule of law and the way that he views it, and also using the threat of military force in a way that we haven't seen in this country, federal military force.
Yeah, I am not happy about that at all. She is correct. This is, look, Trump, I get it. You want to play your game. You want to do your stuff. I understand it. I don't like it, but I get it. Use the National Guard, and that's all you need. He brought up the Marines. For those of you who don't know, there's a Marine base nearby. Camp Pendleton is nearby. Maybe an hour out, give or take. Is that about right? About an hour. It's about, Camp Pendleton is in between LA. I've been stationed there in the past. In between LA and San Diego. About an hour out, depending on how you get there in that area. So he mentioned that. I'm like, dude, don't do that. No. Do your National Guard and stop. This I don't like. I don't like that. Yes. Yeah, so that's not what I want to see.
I mean, there's discussion of deploying Marines for what is a civil disturbance. This should be of concern, I think, to many, many
100%.
people.
100%. That's she's right on this. This is a terrible idea. Vivek says, I'm on the fence on this one. It would be good to hear your libertarian perspective on this. That will give us some clarity. Oh, thank you for that. I hope I'm giving it some clarity. I hope I am. Andrew says, wait, have Marines ever been deployed to U.S. soil before? Yes, they have. The most famous one was to guard the mail, believe it or not. 1800s, I think. Yeah, late 1800s, I think. Guarding the mail. They actually sent the Marines to guard the mail, and it was a very famous. There was a very famous order that was given to Marines. If you are to guard the mail and two people, both armed, come to take the mail, if they take the mail, there needs to be one of them to be dead, and you need to be dead. Like you were to guard the mail unto your life. The Marines were told to guard the mail unto death. Yes, I remember. There may have been others, but that one I remember clearly. If someone happens to know if there were other times, but it has happened before. Yes. Shelley says, the Mexican flags are enigma to me. Yes, it's almost like it's an op. I'm not saying it is. Don't get me. Don't you conspiracy people, don't get me. I'm not saying that, but it's almost like that. Could you make it look better for Trump? Like foreign flags being flown, throwing rocks at cops. Like this is not helping the pro-immigration side at all. This is a terrible look. You are correct. Yes. She goes on to say Mexico. So maybe that's, California used to be Mexico. So maybe that's why an entire city thinks they're only Mexican illegals. They can't possibly be that stupid. Yeah. And I don't think they are, but to be fair, there are a lot of Mexican immigrants obviously in California. Obviously there are. And there is a group, what's it called? La Raza, I think is the name of the group, that there is a group. This is not all immigrants. I'm just saying a group exists that is about like reclaiming all of the Mexican land. That does exist, but they're not a big piece. But they might be running this. They might be running this. It's possible. So yeah. Mike Voss is here. He says, so we all know the answer to this, right? Yes, because the Dems hate America. They prove it over and over again, from Kilmar Garcia to LA Riots, and they break America. I think you're exaggerating, Mike, obviously, but I get it. I'm not sure they hate America. And what I mean by that is, I think if you ask the average person, even a hardcore, leftist or Democrat or whatever, however you would say it, Dems, whatever, they don't hate America. They hate what they believe are the elites of America. And the funny part is, many of them are actually elites of America. So it's utterly hypocritical. But yeah, many times they do. Yes. Mike says, in the War of 1812, but not so. They did. It was the mail, Mike. When did they guard the mail? Jesus Christ. When did the Marines? There was a bunch of people robbing the mail. And then the Marines were called in to protect the mail. And then it stopped getting robbed. Because Marines were literally like, we're dying then. Like, we're dying. So don't get the mail. Hold on. I got to find out when they did the mail. When was that? Oh, wow, it was later. Sorry, 1921. 1921, Warren G. Harding ordered the Marines to protect the mail through a series of robberies. And they were deployed in 1921 and again in 1926. Yeah, for trains and also trucks. That is when they were stationed in America. So yeah, I knew it was for the mail. I didn't remember what. I thought it was 1800s. It was 1921. I was off on my time frame. But yes, it was there. There we go. All righty. Let's see here. Let me keep going down here. If I grab that one. All righty, good. All right. Rick says, people tend to judge these things by Antifa type thuggery, and not the good people who are alarmed by seeing people they know and like being disappeared. True. And to be forward, Rick, if you're unhappy with people being disappeared, I get it. I get it. Yes, I totally get it. This doesn't help your plight. This makes people say, oh, see, you're all violent. Get the violent people out. This helps Trump completely. This does. I think this helps Trump completely. Absolutely. I see no downside for Trump at all for this. That's just me. I see no downside at all.
In this country. And so I think the context is that, yes, this is about immigration enforcement.
I love CNN and MSNBC. There's always women with three names. Remember I always tell you that? women with. There's always women there. Lulu Garcia Navarro. There's always women with 3 names.
Los Angeles is a city where 50% almost are Latinos. The people who have been protesting, peacefully protesting. I'm not talking about the violent protesters here. Violence should never be something that's condoned. But the people who have been peacefully protesting, sometimes they're first, second generation Latinos.
No, first and second, not third or fourth.
Who are worried about this kind of immigration enforcement.
They pulled the ladder up.
This is a complicated issue.
And something we heard earlier, I think in a piece of tape, was a protester saying every moment that we're out here, they're not, he said, in our communities doing raids, et cetera. Brad, what are you thinking?
This is the part here that they called those taxis in and put them on fire. Nothing but bad, right? Nothing but bad. It's just going to show, this is what it's going to do. Every time they have a problem, this is going to make the people think somehow if we burn the cars, then things will get better. They won't. It's not helpful. It's just going to make the rides get more expensive. That's all it's going to do, because the insurance is going to go up, because it's going to burn the car or attack the car because there's nobody in it or whatever. That's what's going to happen. And then the insurance is going to go up because people are stupid and they want to get their cut. Yes. And then eventually they're going to make it where they have special laws that if you attack a car, you do 5 extra years. It'll be some stupid shit like that, right? Yeah.
Thinking.
Well, we got to this moment because California has a sanctuary policy. The state law forbids local law enforcement.
That's not true. That's propaganda. That's not true. You didn't get there because of that. California and LA have been sanctuary cities forever. So is New York. That's not true. He's saying that because he hates sanctuary cities. I get it, but it's propaganda. That's Republican propaganda. The reality of it is, it's because they let so many in under Biden and had no plan. That's the reason. I keep going back to this. This is not a Democrat issue. This is not a lib issue. This is not a sanctuary city issue. We've been sanctuary cities for decades. New York City has been a sanctuary city for decades. That's not new. What's new is Biden, again, either him or his people said, let all the people in. Because again, for those of you who don't know, I keep saying this, 8 million young men have already checked out of our society. They're not working. They don't want to work. They're not going to work. They don't give a shit. They're done. They're out. They're out. Done. We're not having babies. AI is going to take away all those white collar jobs. All it's going to be left is blue collar jobs. And companies want them to be as cheap as possible. Who's going to take those jobs? Migrants. We let 20 million in. We're good. You can stop now. Thank Biden for that. Now, again, I'm not anti-immigration. I'm anti-immigration with no plan. And we had no plan. If you think we did, you're fooling yourself. We had no plan. We just let them all in. And who suffered? Some of the poorest suffered. I saw it here in the Bronx. Mike, you know, you saw it here in Manhattan. You saw it in the Bronx. I saw it here in Queens. The poorest people suffered because of that. Our veteran homeless suffered because of that. And people said, no more. This is not sanctuary city. That's Republican propaganda. It is because Biden's policy, again, if it was his or not, was terrible. And because Harris had no policy.
From cooperating with, or local government from cooperating with immigration enforcement. We have immigration laws that govern the entire land, and California is willfully ignoring them. California's left-wing politicians set this up.
Okay, they've been left-leaning for decades. That's not the reason.
California had long been cooperating and helping enforce immigration laws all along the way. This would not be.
It's not the whole state. You do know that some of this is jurisdictions. There are certain towns that do. Yeah, but there are certain. But there are certain towns that absolutely have cooperated with federal authorities.
Shouldn't they all?
You know, this is part of the issue that.
Okay, she can't answer. She can't answer. He's saying, shouldn't they all? She's got a bunch of stories because she knows Americans are like, it's all right, fine. Yep. It's okay. Yep. It's okay. And it's not. Grand Regent, you don't believe me. Okay, you don't have to. Evidence is there. You will see literally no repercussions from this. None. For Trump, none. Guarantee it. No repercussions. None at all. I hope that'll proves you. None. Phil, $2 says, do radical groups want to draw in the military? See, here's the problem. Yes and no. And hear me out with this one, Phil. I think Trump's making a mistake bringing in the Marines. First off, it's bad. Your point, it's blatantly illegal. You can't, and the Republicans are like, no, you could do it because whatever. No, it's blatantly illegal and he shouldn't do it. And it's a red line for a lot of people, me included. It is a red line for a lot of people. This is a terrible idea. Shouldn't be done. But I told you about this before. The problem with Trump and many of the Republicans now is they think they're unbeatable. They have hubris. They think because the Democrats are doing nothing and are basically rolling over, they think, well, we're unstoppable. Look, we screwed the whole tariff thing up and we still have 54%. We're doing this and we're still 54%. And they love us with immigration. We do anything we want. They think that. And they're going too far with the Marines. Americans will accept National Guard. I don't know why, it's our culture. We accept National Guard. We just do. As maybe not you, but as a society, we do. Like National Guard is supposed to like protect stuff. I get it. Like we do that. Marines, no, we don't. That's not a thing. That was a mistake. He's going too far. So do someone to draw them in? Yes, there are groups who want to make Trump look bad. If Trump brings in Marines and Marines actually shoot somebody or harm somebody or hurt somebody, that will be the only thing that will make Trump pay. If that happens, Grand, you are correct. I will sit here and say you were right if that happens. If that doesn't happen, there'll be no repercussions for him because we will accept, even if National Guard hurts people. National Guard, we'll let that go. We will, I'm telling you, we'll let that go. Marines, we will not. We'll be like, whoa, why should we bring Marines in? Their job is to break things overseas, not here. That's their job. Their job is to break things in someone else's country, not in our country. So I think that will hurt. So radical groups who want Trump to look bad, yes. There are probably some who actually support him who think that'll make him look powerful with law and order, but it's not true. It's not true. So Phil goes on to say, thank you for $2, my friend. Thank you for the super chats today. I really appreciate it, man. Bin Laden wanted American troops bogged down. Yes. Accurate. So you're seeing him do that, guys. You're seeing Phil super chat. If you guys want your chats to go to the front, feel free to rant me on Rumble. I am on Rumble. Or to super chat me on Sharpe YouTube, either one. They go right to the front. Either way, I appreciate it. If you want to help out, please become a member. A member is $49 per month. The more members I have, the less work I have to do, the more of this I can do. So if you want to help out, please do that. It's $49 per month. Larry, that's $5. That's like a cup of coffee. It is, but I give you a whole lot more caffeine than that. Come on. And I'm funny sometimes. And I'll talk to people who yell at me all the time. So that's something. So that's worth like $5, right? So do that if you can, if you got it. If you don't, no worries. You can always help me out on Facebook if you want to, or on Patreon. Any of those are fine. If you want to help out the show, it'd be great. If you can't do any of that, it's okay. You can do the simplest thing. You can click the button known as Lima, India, Kilo, Echo. Yes, do that. It's free. Do that, please. Also, you can share or repost this now. Share or repost this now. If you don't share or post this like in a Facebook group or repost it on X, you know what you're telling me? You're telling me you like Marines breaking things in our country. See? You like that if you don't do this. Why would you like Marines breaking things in our country? Don't do that. Repost this. And you've now proven to the world that you don't think that. I don't know how you've done that, but you have. Just trust me, bro. There we go. Just trust me, bro. Duke of Fact, thank you for the $5. As Latino myself, it bothers me when Mexican Americans roll out the Mexican flag. Heritage is one thing. This is unpatriotic. I agree. Look, I have flags here. You can't see them right now because they're being blocked, but you see them when I show them all the time. I have flags here. I have my father's American flag. He was a veteran as I am. His flag's on top. That has my mother's flag. She was German, so I have a German flag here. Yes. But do I talk about how I prefer Germany over America? No. No. I'm American first, clearly opposite. I just have a heritage of both Black and German. I have a heritage of both, and I'm proud of both of those heritages, but I am American. First and foremost, I'm American, even though I have other heritage, right? So, yeah, I agree completely. I don't promise someone flying a Mexican flag if they're proud of the heritage, but I would hope you're American first. Otherwise, why are you here? I'm not being mean. I'm just saying, why are you here? If I love Germany so much, I should move to Germany then. I ain't moving. I'm not moving. And I know from my DNA test that my ancestors, I am a descendant of slaves, right now come from the Hausa tribe, which currently is in parts of Nigeria and Cameroon, more in Nigeria than Cameroon. I'm not moving to Nigeria. I'm not going. Nope. I'll stay right here. So anyway, I get what you're saying. Yes. Yes. All righty. Walk down here. All right. Lorenzo says America's going through a strange phase. True. True. Yes. All righty. Let me grab some of these if I can. All righty. Let's see here. So many of these here. I mean, this is, you guys give me a lot of stuff. I love that. Let me keep moving down here. All righty. Hat says, I'm in Northwest Arkansas, and the turnout and resistance against all this is insane. 3 days a week at rep offices in multiple towns. Well, look, if that's true, I hope it's true, then we'll see a change, right? I don't see it. Grant says he's blaming Biden for the crap Trump is doing. Yeah. Yes. If you want to defeat Trump, there was one thing Democrats could have done. One thing, and Biden was responsible for this. He was responsible. You can be mad at me if you want. It's absolutely true. Ask Democrats who are in the know. They will tell you I'm correct. All Biden had to do is go, I'm not running, do a primary. Done. That's it. If Biden had said, I said I was going to be a one-term president, and I am. I'm not going to run again. I've done my job. I've beaten Trump. Democrats, run a primary and find somebody. They would have found an actual person who could have beaten Trump. That's not my fault. That's not your fault. That's not Trump's fault. That's Biden's fault. So yes, I'm blatantly, openly blaming Biden. And if you read the books Democrats are now posting, what are they all saying? They're all blaming Biden. It's not just me, dude. I'm not making this up. If you look at the books being written right now, all the turncoats in the Democratic establishment who are turning coats now, what are they saying? Biden. They're all saying it. Some are now blaming Joe Biden. I don't know if that's true, but they're even saying that. So yeah, absolutely. All righty. Let's see if I can go down here. Okay. I'm glad you guys are back and forth, though. I love this. I love you guys going back and forth. All righty. Let me grab. Okay. Mike says the thing that is telling is that Dems are rioting, no matter the size, to protect illegal aliens. Dems losing across the board on this. They look as anti-American as they are. Can't hide anymore. I got to tell you, you have a valid point on how this looks. I'm not anti-immigration at all, but this may not be a hill they want to die on, right? It's one thing I tell the Republicans. Republicans are trying to fight guys like Thomas Massie within their own. That's within their own. That's a hill you don't want to die on. You can't beat Thomas Massie. And Republicans keep trying. We're going to primary him. Blah, blah, blah. AIPAC tried to primary him. They do over $1 million of them. They cannot. He's untouchable. Don't die on that hill. Leave Massie alone. Go fight another battle. It's not the fight Republicans should be fighting, but they fight it anyway. It's a dumb battle to fight. Move on. But they do it. They're not listening to me. I think you're right in this one, Mike. This type of, if you want to fight to keep, say, for example, stop Holman from making errors, a good battle to fight, a hill worthy of dying on. You want to stop Holman from sending Americans away. Makes sense. Legal immigrants away. Totally makes sense. It's a good thing. Or even those who don't have criminal records. Okay, good fight. That's a fight I think Democrats could fight. That makes sense. But you're fighting to keep anybody in no matter what, even the bad guys. You're right. It's one of those 80-20 issues that the Democrats are going to lose on. Now, you might say, Larry, does it matter? It is principle. You should fight on the principles. And I get that too. I do. I sometimes virtue signal too. Guilty as charged. I sometimes virtue signal. But I virtue signal when I can't make impact. When all I have is virtue signal. If that's all I got, I'll virtue signal because that's all I got. I can't make impact. Democrats can, if they come up with a plan, they could actually do it. But they're not coming with a plan. They're just fighting for whatever. I'll ask you, I'm preaching to the choir with you, Mike. What's the Democratic plan for this? Just let illegals stay? That's just the answer? Americans don't want that, clearly. So if you want them to stay, you have to have a way. Is there a pathway to citizenship? Is there a pathway to green card? Is there a way they come home and come back? I don't know what the answer, but whatever. Make up the answer. Come up with a plan and go, here's how we handle this. Not Trump evil. It hasn't worked in 10 years. It doesn't work. And I'll say it again for the gazillionth time. No plan, bad plan. We pick bad plan. Every time. Just how it works. So yes. All righty. Let's see here. Hat. Oh, Hat. You're going full on. Okay. I'm happy you're here. Keep going. Hat says, this is just another talking head rehashing the same shit. Trump is a traitor. Most of the GOP is going to prison. Okay, none of the GOP is going to prison. That's a fantasy. Scores is going to be up. Nope, you're making this up. We the people are going to push out billionaires. Not going to happen either. All fantasy. Come talk to me in, 2 years. You pick the time period. None of that's going to happen. Everything you just said is stuff you've been watching the wrong channels. None of that's going to happen. None of that's going to happen. Nope. The billionaires run this country. And they're not going to walk away because the people are mad. The people are too busy fighting each other. That's the problem. The problem is we got people saying libs are evil, Republicans are evil. It shouldn't be. It is, but it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be left versus right. It should be 99% against 1%. That's why people were actually afraid of the Occupy Wall Street when it first happened. It fell apart completely and was an absolute joke in the end. But the concept was powerful. But you're talking about GOP? That's where you screwed up. If people were actually talking about the billionaires going away, now you got a shot. Maybe. You got a shot. You got a shot. But as long as you're saying GOP or Dems or whatever, you got no shot because you're divided already. War's already over. Because that means you got the good billionaires and the bad billionaires. Already finished. None of what you said is going to happen. I mean, I don't mean to be mean to you, brother. I don't. I'm glad you're here. Please keep talking. I'm just saying to you, none of that's going to happen. Not one thing. None of that's going to happen at all. None of that. Let me grab some more of this if I can. All righty. Let me grab some of these. Shelly says, anyone know why flags were at half staff in Albany last week? Actually, I don't. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I don't know.
Is always interesting here is when Republicans want to talk about states' rights, it's about states' rights when it is something that they're interested in and not when it is something that perhaps Democrats and their states are interested in. And so I think...
But we've all agreed on what immigration laws are.
Well, there's not a state We're going to talk about this more in the hour.
They had no answer at all, either one of them.
I want to bring in Stephen.
Both of those people are full of shit.
Because there is something you mentioned earlier about militarization. We're going to come back to your point. But having Marines waiting in the wings is pretty wild because this is not the LA riot so far, not what I remember growing up with. And Steve,
it's not.
She's right. 1 second, Brad. So Steve.
Okay, the two people talking were full of shit. Actually, the person who the anchor, I guess, it's true. It's not the LA riots. It's nowhere near as big as they're saying. It's not true. It's not accurate. And the Marines are a big deal. Absolutely true. So, Ryan, thank you for the $5, my friend. Never underestimate the Democrats' ability to mess up last week's momentum. True. Yes. The problem is right now, the Democrats don't have good enough leadership, right? They don't have their Bill Clinton 3.0. They don't have that person yet. I think AOC is trying to be that person, but she hasn't. I mean, maybe she can. I don't think so. I feel like if she could have, she'd have been there already. Bernie's time has come and gone. They don't have that guy yet. They don't, gal, but probably guy. They don't have that person yet. So, yeah. Let me grab a couple more of these if I can. Sharpe fan says, propaganda machine on the right. The left has mainstream news, Hollywood, and most recording. Yeah, no, there's a propaganda machine on both sides. I mean, to think that the propaganda machine on the right is stronger, it's stronger with men because the left won't talk to men. The left will only talk down to men. The right will talk down to the left, and the left will talk down to men. They talk down to each other. So, of course, right? But no, the CNN, MSNBC, most mainstream media, New York Times, these are all left-leaning. They're not right-leaning at all. The podcast world is more right-leaning than left. But there are lots of left-leaning podcasts too, but it's definitely more right-leaning. The podcast world is. The individual like Fox News beats the others in ratings one-on-one. But if you add up all the left, they actually beat Fox News. So on a one-on-one, Fox News beats MSNBC, CNN, all those others. But if you add them all together, they actually beat Fox News. So it's back and forth. For anyone who says It's the left propaganda. No, it's both. It's the right. No, it's both. It's absolutely both sides. I see all the time. And I tell you this. You see it constantly. You see it right now. The left dismisses, the right distracts. That's their form of propaganda. Every time. You see it, not every time, I'm exaggerating, but most of the time. So yeah, absolutely. All righty. Sharpe goes on to say, yes, the number is bad, but the real problem is letting violent illegal aliens go after. They were arrested, mostly for violent offenses. How many times was Lake and Riots killer arrested? It's a valid point. It's you for someone to stand behind the criminal element being released. You don't fight that battle, even if it's righteous, because you lose every other battle. It's not worth fighting. It just isn't. And the left's not going to listen to me, but it's not the right answer. That's a battle they're not going to win. They shouldn't fight that battle. And they're going to fight anyway because they do, but they shouldn't. So, yeah. Anyway, Shelley says, Delgado for governor ad during the live. No bueno. Yeah, he's gonna be fighting Hochul in New York here during the primary coming up here. Yep. Grant says, so the American right becomes a fascist? Not just the right, the left too. Not just the right, the left too. Absolutely, of course. Desperate people, brother, do desperate things. That's how it works. Something that people don't get. The last fascist governments that we saw, openly fascist governments that we saw in Italy and Germany, there wasn't a violent coup. It wasn't a violent coup. They were legally put into place. Yes. At that time, the Brits had a party called the British Fascist Party. They had members in Congress. Yes. People vote for this. And they have in the past. I don't know what planet you live on, brother. Yes. Erdogan is almost the fascist in Turkey. Maybe. That dude's voted in. He didn't take over. He was voted in. And you could go, I mean, I may be stressing on Erdogan, but close. Putin was voted in. These democracies. Right? Let's be clear. There's an old story that, well, democracies don't warn each other. That's utter horseshit. That's utter horseshit. Germany in the 1930s was a democracy. It's a failed democracy. So was Italy. Failed democracy. So was Imperial Japan. These were all democracies. These people voted into power. They tell a story like they took over violence. No, they didn't. They were all voted into power. So yes, I don't know. Brother, the data is every place. It's screaming at you. Screaming at you. Everywhere. Yes. I don't know why you're thinking that's not true. Because I get it. Okay, I do know why. Because you can't stand it. Because you think it's wrong. Me too. Me too. But ignoring it and pretending like America doesn't want to become a fascist state doesn't make it all of a sudden go away. Why do they do this show all the time? Why do they keep doing this all the time? Why do they run for office all the time? If you've seen my policy, I don't know if you pay attention, if you've seen my policies are the furthest thing from fascism. I don't think you can go further. I don't think there's anyone who goes further than fascism, away from fascism, than my policies. I don't think you can find one that goes further away. And I've been pushing it since 2018 and failing every year since. I don't stop though, but I see it. I see people not vote for me, not support me, insult me, call me names. I've seen YouTube and everybody else literally shut me down when I say things like, maybe we should have more choice and not let the state control everything, like fascists. So you can say it's not, or American is okay with it, and like it's not. They are. Look at the algorithms, brother. Look at them. It's clear. Like it's screaming at you in the face. If you don't want to hear it, you don't have to. It is screaming at you in the face. If you're saying you don't like it, I'm with you. Why do they do the show? Because I'm bored. That's not why. That's not why I'm doing it. So yes. Dave says, Larry, some of Trump supporters don't care as long as the police aren't kicking in the doors of their house at 2 o'clock in the morning. Also true. Well, that's true. You find many of them who think, they believe, never me. They're wrong, but they believe it. You're right. They believe it. Oh, no, he never kicked my door in because I'm a cool American. I'm one of the good ones, so he'll never kick my door in. They believe that, but it's not true. You're right. They think they're going to be, they're not. I say all the time, whenever you attack a minority, whatever that minority is, that will eventually come back and get you, because that opens the door for the government to oppress somebody. So they will eventually use that law against you. And you know my perfect one I use all the time, Dave. All the time. Second Amendment, right? Originally, gun control was used. The origin of gun control was keeping guns out of the hands of former slaves. It was utterly racist. That was the origin of gun control. That's where it began in America, right? There was no gun control. Well, people sometimes, you couldn't own a tank. Yes, you could own a battleship. I'm not joking. It was called privateers. People owned battleships. People owned cannons prior to the Civil War. That's a thing. Private companies would hire on, and they had their own cannon. They had their own battleships of the day. That was a thing. People could own one. That went away when the slaves got freed. You're like, whoa, maybe we don't want all these slaves having all these guns. So the beginnings of gun control. So yes, people literally owned battleships. That was the thing. You could be a rich guy and you had a battleship. And when America went to war, you would say, hey, do you want to rent my battleship? And America would go, yeah. Can we rent your battleship? Yeah. That would happen. So that now we use gun control to hurt anybody. White guys, black guys, doesn't matter, anybody. But it was started because of we're going to oppress a minority, in this case, former slaves. So yes, I completely agree. They think they're immune. They're not. But they do believe it. They do believe it, yes. American Sweater says, I can be understood, but there is a way to heal and it usually is uncomfortable. Yes, it always is. It always is. I agree with you. It always is. It's very hard for us to move past this. James says, constitutional, democracy, freedom, liberty, republic, securing the process. All these words just buzzwords to make the duopoly feel good. We don't need the party believes in those things. True. Absolutely true. Totally accurate.
Even brought up this thing saying that the president's not just demonstrating his desire to militarize the crackdown on undocumented migrants, but also implying to use it against protest and dissent. Is that what you see when you look at these images?
I think that's the imagery that the administration is creating. The president tweeted in the middle of the night or posted on True Social or whatever it is now, bring in the troops. He wants us to have that imagery of troops.
And that's bad, period. This is a mistake that Trump is making. This is an error. He shouldn't do this. It is a mistake for him, mistake for us, bad. Because if we don't stop this, if my biggest fear is true, we say, I'm so desperate to stop this, I don't care if Marines come in. If the American people as a whole, obviously, I won't like it, but as a whole, if Americans go, no, it's fine, bring the Marines in, we're in trouble. We have just made military force in the civilian world the norm. I hope that we push back against this like there's no tomorrow. We do not need active duty Marines doing this at all. It is a terrible mistake. It should not be done. And I think Trump might do it because, again, Trump thinks I can do anything. I'm winning. And no matter what I do in immigration, people love me. And right now, he's right. That's an accurate statement now. That might go away. You push too far. So Lorenzo's on my side, guys. He says, Larry's right. Harris offered nothing. True. She offered nothing. I agree. She was a crap candidate with no plan. Of course she lost. Of course she lost. Yes. Absolutely. Of course.
On the streets, I think.
But that's because people are seeing this imagery, right? I mean, if you look at the cover of the Post today, dozens of thugs arrested as First National Guard.
See, the Post says dozens of thugs arrested. Of course, the Post is a right-leaning, clearly a right-leaning paper, and it wants to make it like, see, Trump is law and order, and of course the Mexican flag is being shown. This is nothing but bad for people who support immigration. Or if you support it, this is nothing but bad. I mean, it's just bad. Yeah, nothing but bad. Exactly. But don't bring the Marines in. It's a mistake.
That is, Gavin Newsom wants it too.
Yeah,
Gavin
you're
Newsom
right.
absolutely wants it.
That comment he said that we saw about him, potentially being arrested. He clearly wants this
He's
political
peacocking
fight
to try to become
as well. I mean, there's a lot of
figure.
peacocking.
I agree. I think Newsom is like, oh, I can act like I'm fighting Trump. It's what Democrats want to hear. Yes, it's what they want to hear. Absolutely. Joel says, I have more kids than anyone here. I have 2 Brazilian kids. I have 2 kids. They're not Brazilian, but I have 2. So I don't know. They're not Brazilian though, but I do have two. Grant says Trump barely won. It wasn't the landslide victory, and I have suspicions Elon's computer stole it. Now you sound like them same Republicans on Day After 5. Same thing. Oh, stolen. Like, stop. None of these elections were stolen. None of them were. None of them were, guys. And even if they were, then they're always being stolen. Then what difference does it make? So either it doesn't matter, so why even have elections? That's option one. Or option two, they're not being stolen. I'm going to go with not being stolen because I don't want to be the other. But the other might be true. Maybe it doesn't matter and they're all rigged. It's possible. I don't think so. So I'm going to go with the not being stolen because there's only two choices. Because if I could steal it, why wouldn't I every time? Right? I would every time. If I could steal it, I would do it every time. I'd have stolen my last one if I could have. Right? Obviously, I couldn't. So I don't think that at all. But not just that. It may not have been a landslide. I think that's true. It wasn't a landslide. But there were parts that were. There were 7 swing states. He won all 7. That's a landslide. Not just that. Republicans haven't won the popular vote in 20 years. In 20 years, he did. He won the popular vote. And then again, I get the point. He didn't win the popular vote. He didn't get 150%. This is cope, dudes. Every one of you guys who go, he doesn't have a mandate, it's cope. He's clearly has a mandate. Look at what's happening, and he's still winning. He hasn't fixed our economy. He hasn't ended either of the wars. The tariffs were a disaster. There's people burning shit in LA, and he's still popular. Dude, just look. It's like you just don't want to accept reality. Clearly has a mandate. And everyone says he has a mandate, which means he does because they say it, which means it's true. That's how it works in politics. If everyone believes it, it is true. It doesn't matter if it isn't or not. And worse, he beat Harris. He didn't win 51%, 50 plus 1%. That's true. But he got more than Harris, and that's what matters. That's what matters. He beat Harris in the popular vote. That's what happened. That's what matters. Anything else is just cope. Stop coping and convince your side to have a plan that's worth something that people could get behind. The example I keep giving, and I will keep giving, Mamdani. I hate his plan. It is a plan, and that's why he's got a shot at beating the establishment. He's not just going, the Democrats are evil, but he's not just doing that. Trump is bad. You've been saying Trump's bad for 10 years. You called him a Nazi. I mean, not you, but that side called him a Nazi more than once. He's a felon. Had just called him every other name in the world at B. Penn's Island. And still popular. Everyone's heard that, and he still beat Harris. And I told someone the other day this, and now I'll say it to you. If someone thinks Trump is so evil, so bad, whatever, he's a Nazi. The American people, more of them, tens of millions, voted for a Nazi over Harris. How bad is Harris? How bad's Harris? It seems obvious to me. And maybe you don't like it, maybe you think I'm wrong. I'm just telling you. Yeah. All righty. Let me grab some of these more if I can. All righty. So many. I do appreciate these a lot. Gene says, I voted for Obama the first time. The second time he ran, I did not vote for him because he hadn't done what he said he would. Agreed. Gene, I'm on board. I agree. Yes. He did not do that. I agree. Yes. I agree. I'm with you. I absolutely agree. I'm with you. Patty says, we will go under martial law and he'll remain commander-in-chief and will become T's minions. That is my worry, and that's why I hate the Marine part, Patty, because that starts it. Yes. Jay Chi says, call me a conspiracy theorist, but Musk accuses Trump and this pops off. Kind of sus to me. I'll go with what I always go. I often don't think that the government is savvy enough to actually prepare or fix this thing. I think they're ready and to take advantage of something that happens. That's always my thought, right? So, oh my God, there's protesting. Let's throw fuel on a fire, right? Let's make sure it explodes. Let's make it horrible, right? I feel that, now I don't have evidence of this, but that's my conspiracy brain. I don't trust government enough to actually start this, to plan it. I mean, they just suck at what they do. So I don't see that. but I see them going, oh, that's happening. Guys, here's our thing. Do this. What did Rahm Emanuel say? Never let a crisis go to waste, right? I think most people in government believe that. I think they believe that. And I think that's my gut on how they act. I don't think they did this, but they were like, this is happening. Let's explode it. That I think happens. So yes.
Going on, but from the administration's point of view, Trump was elected on a mandate of strong border policy. He sees that. He wants to push that as far as he can. He's sending a message to other Democratic states who he believes do not cooperate with the administration.
Agreed. He is sending a message. I agree. Grant thinks they're manufactured. I'm going to go with what I said earlier, Grant. I don't think it's manufactured. I think they take advantage of things that happen. Like they're waiting for something to happen. Oh, there it is. And then they jump on it. That's always been my view. Is it possible it's manufactured? I think it's possible. I don't think it's real, right? I just doubt that government can do a job well enough to do that. So there we go. Harris was more qualified, I might add. What? Utterly untrue. And maybe 2 reasons why. One, it doesn't matter and it's wrong. It doesn't matter if you have no plan. It's irrelevant if you have no plan. Not just that. When it comes to politics, this is not a job interview. People think that and they're wrong. This is a marketing plan. That's what it is. I know I've run for office more than once. If it was like on who could act do the job, I'd be governor of New York. I'm clearly not. It's not about that. It's a marketing plan. People have more money to market, more ideas, better people. It's a market. It's not a job interview. It's not a thing. People think it is, but it's not. And not just that, Trump had been president already. Harris had not. To think that Harris is more qualified than the guy who's already been president, that's Mo Cope, brother. I've had the job already. And someone else is more qualified. Demonstrably false, dude. I get it. You liked Harris. You wanted her to win. Look, I wanted my guy to win. He wasn't going to win either. I mean, my guy had no chance of victory. I'm just saying, I'm not going to sit here and say my guy was more qualified. I'm not going to cope that shit. It's just not real, right? I can want what I want. I can like what I want to like. It doesn't make it true. And Harris was not more qualified. The guy, Trump was president before. He literally had the job before. You can't tell me she's more qualified than that. That's not a thing. And even if she was, you still got no plan. Who cares? So if you're going to hire me, you're going to hire me to take over your company. And you got a guy who was the CEO in the past and has a plan to fix your company versus me. I was I'm second in command. So I was the chief operating officer and I got no plan. So you come to me and go, well, Larry, you're not the CEO, you're a COO. Yes. And what's your plan to take to fix the company? Oh, nothing. Well, what do you do with the guy who's in charge now? I'm just going to copy him, but it's not working. I'm just going to copy him. And you hire me? You messing up if you hire me for that. When you got a guy who was the CEO already and has a plan. Demonstrably not true. That's just you being mad. Adam says, aren't most libertarians fighting the culture war on some way, degree, or level? Just they feel so disenfranchised, they don't feel a part of the culture wars. Yeah, no. Look, libertarians do it too. We do it too. We fight culture wars. I try my best to not. I try, but we do it too. Culture matters. People get upset about culture. Culture moves people. Absolutely. I try not to, but I do too. I don't want to fight culture wars because, to your point, Adam, it doesn't get things done. You wind up doing a whole bunch of virtue signaling and actually solving nothing. But yeah, I agree with you. All I can say is you hear me often try to not fight them. I don't want to fight culture wars, but I do sometimes too. So, yes. All right, Ryan, thank you for $2. Trump's foreign policy is schizophrenic. It is. It's right now it's actually failing. His foreign policy right now is failing. And I had such high hopes for it because I knew he'd work hard on it. And he is. Look, I'm gonna try to give credit where credit is due. Witkoff, his boy, is one of the best people he could have picked to go do foreign policy. One of the best he could have picked. There were a lot of options. He was one of the best that he could have picked. But it's not working. At the moment, it's not working. Is Witkoff failing? Is the deep state stopping him? Is Rubio screwing up? Is Trump stepping in his way? I actually don't know. My gut says, Mike brought this up. He's like, the deep state now is holding everybody back and slowing everybody down. That makes sense to me. I don't have evidence of that. I'm telling you just my feeling. I don't have evidence of that. What Mike said feels right to me, that the deep state now is holding on and pulling back everything. And now Trump doesn't know how to act. He's like, now what? I was trying to fix this shit in the first 3 months before the deep state could slow me down. I couldn't get it done. Now I'm in trouble. And the guys like Thune and Rubio are controlling shit. I don't think Trump wants war with Iran. I honestly think Trump doesn't want war with Iran. But all the neocons do. Now what's he going to do? Is he going to have to give up war with Iran to end Ukraine? Is he have to do some crazy deal like that? I wouldn't put it past him. So he gets a deal with Ukraine or Gaza or something, but in return, he gets a war with Iran that he doesn't want. I could see something like that happening. I mean, I hope not, obviously. I don't want any wars. Obviously, I don't want any. But I could see that. Like, that's where he might be right now. And that it's schizophrenic because he doesn't know what to do right now. His stuff, he was supposed to wrap this up in the first 3 months and then move right into tariffs. That was Trump's grand scheme, right? He would fix foreign policy in like 3 months. His people locally would take care of all his domestic garbage, and they would play the woke card left and right to keep the American people thinking someplace else. And then he'd fix foreign policy in like 3 months and then work on tariffs, scare everybody into changing all the policies, get a bunch of great deals put up. That was his actual plan. He said it. Not going as planned. Not going as planned. And I hoped it worked. I said it up front. I hoped it would work. And look, can it work? People who are disappointed in Trump right now, I hear them. They're saying, no, it's finished. It's screwed up. We're in trouble. 2026 is going to be a disaster for Trump. I'm hearing people say that. I don't know if it's true. I didn't want Biden to fail. I don't want Trump to fail. I want America to win. I don't care if the Republicans or Democrats win. It doesn't mean shit to me. I don't care. But it's not looking good. That's what I'm saying. I hope Mike is wrong. I hope I come back a year from now and go, Mike, you were wrong on that one, man. Look, Trump fixed he fixed the wars. It worked. I hope he's wrong. I hope he is. But Mike's often right about Trump. So I wouldn't count him out. But in this case, I hope he's wrong. I hope Mike is wrong and Trump fixes the stuff. I hope he does. That's all I'm saying. So yes. All righty. Keep going down here if I can. Joel says, I'm doubting the news clips of them reporting mostly peaceful car burning. The ability to create fake news makes me doubt everything now. Yeah, I'm with you. Yes.
Leaders or two people who might try and protest in the streets?
How do you mean exactly?
The message he's sending.
Yeah, but I think to that point I made in the story, and to your point about the Marines, this is a dangerous moment.
I am glad that the guy on the left, the guy on the right, the person talking, the anchor, they're all saying this Marine thing is bad. I cannot stress this enough. This Marine thing is bad. It's bad. Whatever you think about Trump, you love Trump, hate Trump, the Marine thing is bad.
The idea of American active troops even being talked about on the street. I remember I was in New Orleans after the hurricane. You had the 82nd Airborne there, and they were there on a much different mission, but seeing American active duty troops on a combat patrol walking through the streets of an American city is a chilling image.
Yes.
And I've worked in a lot of countries where that is the case. And it's not something you really want to bring on.
The way to avoid that is for California law enforcement to work with immigration authorities. But is it okay that it's been
raised?
Okay, two things to remember. The guy has a valid point. He's saying that the local people should handle it. He's right. That's true. But if the local people don't handle it, then you bring in the National Guard. You don't bring in the Marines. You bring in the National Guard, not the Marines. That's where he's wrong. He's right in saying, look, the local people got to deal with that. Yeah, that's true. True. No lies detected. He's right. If they don't, National Guard, not Marines. That is a bridge too far. That is a mistake. We should not do that.
No one wants it, but I will note that once the president said he might mobilize the National Guard, the LAPD suddenly got interested in stopping the demonstration.
Look, if that was Trump's way of scaring people, and he does that shit all the time. I hate it, but if it worked, fine. Fine. I'm not going to fight that. That's not a hill I want to die on. Fine. Make your scary thing and get it done. Fine. But just don't actually do it. Don't actually do it. Patty asked, do you believe some of the videos of the craziness is AI created? Are we being baited by AI riots? Is this what we have become? I can't believe my eyes or ears anymore. I don't think that things that you're seeing on like a CNN or a Fox News at this point are AI. I don't think that's true. What they will sometimes do is use older things like from 2020 or 2022, or they'll do that often. At the moment, the people who run it would never want to be seen as doing AI stuff. Now, things you see randomly online, easy could be AI. Easy could be AI. But anything coming from like a CNN or something like that, they're not there yet. They might get there at this moment in time. What you'll see is it'll either be real video or it'll be older footage, but it will not be AI. They'll use like 2020, 2022 and be like, this is, oh my God, terrible riots, but they'll show other riots. So yeah, that's what you might see. That's possible.
Okay. It took that kind of a threat to get LAPD to do their job.
So yeah, I just want to make sure that we saw that piece. So anyway, oh, hold on. So they are bringing the Marines in, which I don't want to hear at all. But yeah, anyway, I hope that makes sense, that we understand what's going on here. So Mike says, the messaging that MAGA and Republicans are in a cult is a 10-year propaganda of Dem/media. Conservatives are motivated by policy more than emotion when it makes differences versus Dems. I think you depend upon the person on the left, right? There are a lot of left-leaning people who are motivated by policies also, things like Medicare for all, stuff like that, if there is one. But your point about the messaging that MAGA and Republicans are in a cult is not working is 100% true. It doesn't work. The idea, yelling how bad Trump is hasn't worked. But here's the problem, Mike. It's the only thing that most Democrats have right now. I keep going back. I'm a broken record. I keep going back to Mamdani. Mamdani is not. How many times has Mamdani said Trump is bad? He doesn't focus on Trump. He doesn't. He focuses on his plan to move New York City forward. Mamdani should, in theory, not be doing anything. And to Grant's point, Mamdani has no experience compared to other people running. Compared to the other people running, Mamdani's got nothing. Trump attacks him on his experience. I'm sorry, not Trump. Cuomo, I'm the same guy. Cuomo attacks Mamdani on his experience and his right. Mamdani does not have much experience. True. And New Yorkers don't seem to care as much as one would think. Why? Because Mamdani has a plan. Cuomo talks about Trump all day long. I'm going to beat up Trump. Now, Democrats do like that. Mamdani doesn't say that stuff. He says, we're going to fix New York. Remember they asked Mamdani, what country are you going to go to when you live there? And half the people that went, I'm going to Israel because Israel. And what did Mamdani said? I'm staying here. I'm going to fix New York. I ain't going overseas. I'm the mayor of New York. What am I doing? And people like that. So I'm agreeing with you that this 10 years of Orange Man bad, and then eventually when Elon came, Spaceman bad, which now that's going away. You can't say Spaceman bad anymore. So Orange Man bad is not working. But they don't know any better. They have no one else who's giving them plans. So all they do is they're angry and they insult. I'm just going to keep insulting. It's not working. Not working. Yeah. Grant says the Republicans will not recover from this. 100% not true. Well, we'll talk in like a year. And yeah, 100% not true. Yes. Ryan says, Larry, I'm sure that your plan didn't include giving sports teams at the Yankees and Jets fully funded stadiums paid for by taxpayers, like the Missouri governor. Yeah, you're right. It did not include that at all. Yes, absolutely. Proud vet, how are you, sir? Immigration has always been the secret behind why Donald Trump has been Teflon and how he managed to eclipse the first black president and most credible woman candidate for president. Yes, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. And he knows it. My worry for him is he goes too far. He goes too far and says, I'm unstoppable, right? I'm unstoppable, Yeah. Let's see here. Phil says, thank you for $2. With the war on drugs, feds are bad. at counterinsurgency. I'm not sure. Oh, yes. That's true. They are bad at this. True. Yes. That's what I'm saying. I don't buy it. Shannon says, if we are invaded, are Marines okay? Does Trump see illegals as an invasion? If we're invaded, Marines are okay, assuming that their goal in this case is to stop the invaders. So if you're telling me that they are sending Marines in to arrest and or detain and or eliminate the illegals, while I would hate that, that would be in my eyes legal because you're saying they're invaders and you would send the Marines to repel the invaders. I don't like that idea at all. It's a terrible idea, but that in my eyes would be legal. But they're not saying that. They want to put the Marines in to keep order, which means who are you keeping order for or from? Americans. That's the problem. That's a police action by the cops or local law enforcement or even borrowed law enforcement, right? And what I mean by that, say in LA, you don't have enough cops. Okay, get San Fran and send you some cops. Get Colorado, send you some cops. Get Nevada, send you some cops. Cops are supposed to be trained in this thing. They are domestic. They're supposed to be. It's their job. Get them. Or National Guard. So Marines would be okay if the goal was to detain, stop, eliminate the invaders. That's what Marines do. That's their job. That's not what he's saying. And I wouldn't want that anyway, but at least I could at least understand that, right? Again, that does make sense. That's their job. Yes. Yeah. But that's not what he's saying. That's the problem. So, yes. All righty. Lord says, does not LA literally owned by Iranians and Armenians? Well, no, that's just the real estate people. I'm teasing. A lot of real estate people there. Yes. A lot of real estate people there. So, yeah. All right. Let me grab through here if I can. So many of these. I do appreciate that. Guys, thank you so much for all the stuff you've been talking about. I appreciate it back and forth tremendously. Maybe the riots are being sponsored by the insurance industry to increase rates. After those fires? No, Becky. The insurance company's ready to leave Southern California. They're ready to just walk away. Andrea says, thank you for being a member, Andrea. I feel like the left is shooting themselves in the foot. This is a mistake for the left. It is. And again, if the Marines actually get out there, it's a mistake for the right too. Right? The Marines should not go. To Grant's point, that would be a bridge too far. If the Marines don't take any action, Trump will be fine. If Marines take action and regular civilians are harmed, that's a problem. It's a problem. Guys, I'm going to ask you again, if you could please click that button known as Lima, India, Kilo, Echo. Click the button. It does matter. How else can I move forward? How else can I grow this thing without people clicking that button? If you haven't reposted, reshare it, please do so. You guys who are mad at me, you don't like what I'm saying, well, we're going back and forth. Doesn't that deserve a like? Doesn't the conversation deserve a like? Didn't I earn one? I could have ignored you guys and been like, oh, they don't exist. I brought you up and talked to you. That deserves a like. Share this. Repost, repost it in one of your Facebook groups or in some group, some Discord server, whatever, where they're going to yell at me and call me names because I'm so wrong and whatever. Do that. I'd love that. Have them come on. Happy to have them on. Call me names and stuff. All good. This is the kind of look, where else are you going to have a conversation like this? Most shows like this, aren't done live. And if they're done live, it's just echo chamber. It's just echo chamber and blood sport. This is not echo chamber or blood sport. So please repost this. It does matter. If you have not followed me on Sharpewave, Facebook, X, and Rumble, why do you hate me? Please do so if you would. I appreciate it. When you subscribe on Sharpewave YouTube, make sure you click all notifications. Otherwise, you get booted. If you want your comment to go to the front, you can either rant me on Rumble or you can super chat me on YouTube right to the front. Membership matters, guys. It does. The more members, the better. Click that join button on YouTube. $49 per month keeps this show going. We want it to keep going. I know we do. So let's do this. And also click on Rumble if you want to. Click subscribe only during the live. $49 also, please, per month. It will work. It does help. Please make that happen if you can. But whether you can or not, doesn't matter. Either way, click the button known as like. So, all right, let's keep going here. All righty. Mike says, sanctuary cities/states are not new. Yep, but enforcing law against them is new. True. In past, politicians were too afraid to take action. Also true. I think that's accurate also. But that's not what he was saying. He was saying the problem is the sanctuary cities or states. That isn't the problem. It's what happened recently. That was the problem. They've been that forever. forever, I'm exaggerating, for a long time. There we go. For a long time. So yeah, all righty. Matt says, thank you for remembering, Matt. It is not red versus blue. It's establishment versus the people. Versus, people need to wake up. Agreed. Rick says, Biden let lots of people in, but did nothing to bring them in legally. True. Dems abandoned him, and especially Dreamers. True. They had the power. Yes. Reagan was Republican. He gave amnesty. He recognized, I got to do something. Even Reagan figured it out. Got to do something. Yes. Obama made the Dreamer thing. Did something. Now, you might not have liked those two things, but again, bad plan or no plan, we go with bad plan, right? The idea of DACA, the idea wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad idea. It was put in the wrong way, a way that was actually just by executive order and done incorrectly. But people said, okay, why? Because it was that or no plan. People said, fine, we'll take it, right? A lot of people didn't like Reagan and his amnesty. They didn't like that. But it was that or no plan. He had a plan. Biden went, I got no plan. I got nothing. I got nothing. Obama was like, we'll do DACA. Biden was like, I got nothing. Trump was the first one like, build a wall. That was his plan. They're like, okay, that's a plan. And now it's like, throw them all out. Okay, that's a plan. The only guy to have no plan in this series was Biden. Some of you guys go, you're blaming Biden. Yes. He was the only guy with no plan. Everyone else had a plan. Might have been a bad plan. Had a plan. He had nothing. And what did Harris go? Nothing. Whatever. Ganchin says immigration needs to be fixed. Who the hell was running this country when Biden was sleeping? Harris? She was probably drinking most of the time. That's funny. Yes. Let's see here. Let's see. Nathan says, I was willing to listen to arguments in favor of activating the National Guard. Didn't love it, but I've listened. Marines, no way I'm out. Yes. Thank you, my friend. Yes. There's no argument for Marines. It's not. There's no argument for Marines. It's a problem. It's too far. Ryan says it. Bringing in Marines is a dumb move. Yes. It's a problem. It's not the answer. No Marines. It's a bad idea. Yes. Mike says the Marines is a political statement of will. Very iffy on the law, but not unconstitutional. Perhaps too soon, as National Guard haven't had the chance to make impact. Okay. Is it illegal for him to bring Marines in? Depends on what they do. It's iffy for many reasons. Number one, what are you telling Marines to do? Are you telling them to guard something of federal nature? Not illegal at all. Marines do that normally, right? That's why the mail is federal, so the Marines could guard the mail. Totally legal, totally fine. Marines guard embassies. Totally legal, totally fine. Marines guard posts, they federal lands. Totally fine. If you ask a Marine to guard federal property, no problem. That is done often. It is the norm. We've done it throughout history. Totally fine. If you wanted them to say, I don't know, guard national parks, totally fine. It's federal lands, federal property. You have them do it. No worries. That's not what they're saying, Mike. He's saying you want them to come in to restore order domestically. Even if you could find a legal reason for that because national emergency or something, even if you could do that, even if you could, it's clearly wrong culturally. Even if you could find a legal, I'd have to find a legal reason, right? Because the president doesn't just get to deploy Marines. That's not a thing. I'm just going to deploy them. Where? Because here. No, not domestically. So there has to be a reason for it. If you found a reason, it's still culturally bad. There's no precedent for it. You don't want to start that, right? The last time I can think about that kind of thing is like when the military went and broke up broke up the Black Wall Streets. When the military went in and broke up unions. Is that the kind of shit we want? No, it's bad. No. National Guard is the answer. That's what you do. You don't go to Marines. If it's that bad, Mike, if it is, it isn't, but let's say it's that bad that, whatever, LA starts to go on fire. It's not, but let's say it happens. Then you get cops from other areas. That's what you do. You even get someone else in National Guard. You bring in National Guard troops from Nevada, National Guard troops from Arizona. You don't bring in Marines. It's not the right answer. It's not the right answer. Yes. Patty said, Larry, yesterday you said protests don't work. Maybe people listened and said, okay, riots will. Well, maybe someone's finally listening to me, Patty. See that? I shouldn't have. I asked for it. That's what I got. I asked for it. That's what I got. So maybe I should be happy, I guess. So, yeah. So anyway, Becky says, open borders for years, bro. They've been for a while. Yes, they've been for a while. So, all righty. Let's see if I can go around here if I can. All righty. So many guys, I appreciate all the stuff you're throwing at me. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for doing this. Phil says the Massey rule. If you're going to oppose Thomas Massey, you've got to have a dang good reason. Yes, or just don't. Or just don't. You just leave him alone. It's not worth it. It's just not worth. That's not a battle worth. It just move on. That's what I'm saying. Rick says it. There are no good reasons to oppose Massey. True. Just leave him alone. The answer is leave Massey alone. Go fight your war someplace else. Go fight other people. Just leave him alone. That's all. Leave him alone. That's the right answer. So, PHC for real says, what happens if you're in Mexico City waving American flags, looting and burning cars? Yeah, I hear that, but I don't want to walk down that road because I don't want to say because do it in some other country that we should do it, right? There's a lot of countries who do stupid, terrible things that I would hate and not want to do, and I don't want to go, well, they do it there. What would happen there? I don't want to do that, right? That is very often, you see that often. That remember I tell you how the left dismisses and the right distracts? That's what the right does often. Well, if you were in their country, they would do that to you. That doesn't mean we should do it. That's a very common right-leaning trope of that's how you distract. Well, those guys do it. Well, what about? It's whataboutism. Now, sometimes whataboutism is valid. Sometimes it is. Usually it isn't. Usually it's not. So, yeah. Let me see if I can grab some of these if I can. Let's see. Silver Charm over on Rumble says, let's wait for the city to burn. The mayor likes to hold back the fire department. Look, the reality, Silver Charm, is let's say that's true. Let's say it does go to that level. I mean, again, it's not there now. But let's say in the next day or two, it doesn't stop and it goes to that level. It is the mayor and the governor's job to fix this. It is. And usually what happens is when they can't handle it, they often ask for the National Guard. Almost always when the National Guard is called out, the governor asks for it. They go, this is a big deal. I need help. I don't have enough cops, or my cops aren't trained for this, or whatever. I need more bodies. Let me ask for the National Guard. That's what usually happens. And they're supposed to. Now you might go, but I don't like it. Do you live in California? If you don't, the Californians got to handle this. I know it sounds crappy, but just because I want this doesn't mean we should do it. The Californians have to handle this shit. This is not, Trump shouldn't have stepped in with the Marines at all. Not a thing. It's. I'll go back to it again. That's my bridge too far. No Marines. No Marines. That's a bridge too far for me. And maybe you guys think I'm wrong. Okay, you can think I'm wrong. I still love you. Bridge too far. Marines are a bridge too far. You don't want people trained to go break things sitting here in, yeah, I'm done. Just that's what it is. Let me keep moving. All right. I'll keep moving on that one. I think we're done on this one. All righty. Let's see if I can go down here. Grace says, been waiting to hear your take on this since the riots first broke out. Well, to be fair, I'll go on the whole thing if I can. I think I understand the frustration. That's what I'll say. And that's all as far as I'm going to say with that. I'm not justifying it. I think these riots were a terrible idea. They were stupid. They're not helpful. They're hurting immigration proponents. They're hurting people who support immigrants. It's a terrible idea. And it validates every bad idea that people have about immigrants. It validates everything, right? Showing the Mexican flag, fighting cops, everything that people who are against immigration say, it validates all of it. If you are someone who wants to fix the problem, you have to come up with a plan to fix the problem. Now, I had a plan for New York City literally years ago. And if you guys think I did, I have a plan already. right? So I will come up with a plan. If I'm running for governor, running for mayor, I will give you a plan. Here's how you fix it. I'm not gonna go, Trump is evil. That's not gonna help. Yelling Trump is evil and attacking law enforcement is not gonna solve your problem. If they say, here's the way to solve it, now people get behind me and pressure these other people to implement my plan. That's what should be happening. They're not gonna do that. I understand the frustration. Democratic Party has failed miserably in this. They don't have a plan either. Their plan is Trump is Nazi. That's their plan. Or you heard it here. Trump is a criminal. That's not a plan. That's another set of insults. That doesn't solve the problem. And when that's your only issue, this is what happens. Now, do I believe that literally the government set this up? Could be. I don't believe it. I think the Trump administration saw this and went, perfect timing. Great. Let's jump on this. Because there's no way he should have sent the National Guard in that fast. Just shouldn't have. That was on purpose. There's no way he should have threatened Marines that fast. No way he should have. But his people saw it and went, this is it. DJT, do this. This is the thing. Jump on it. And he did. Holman loves it. He's a zealot. He loves this. He's eating this up. He's having a great breakfast right now. Dinner right now. He's loving it. So they jumped on board. But I don't think they set this up at all. I think they took advantage of it. I think they put fuel in the fire because it makes sense. And I think Democrats initially, because this is how they think. Yeah, this will make Trump look even worse. And they were like, yeah, you saw it here. People, yeah, he's looking terrible. Utterly not true. And a week or two from now, you'll see it. And the polling is from last week. He's still winning in the polls. From last week, he's winning. Not from 6 months ago. Last week. Yes. 3 days ago is when that poll ended. 3 days ago. The 6th it ended, that poll. He's winning. So I think the Democrats thought, oh, yeah, this will make him look bad again. You can't make him look any worse. Guys, EpiPen's Island. Democrats, listen. You can't make him look worse. EpiPen's Island. 34 felonies. Liable of SA. Grab him by the special space. Which it would stop. It doesn't. You called him a Nazi. You literally called him Hitler multiple times. It's not working. It is a colossal waste of time and energy. It falls on deaf ears. It just makes the people who already hate him more. So yeah, and I think this riot or protest also will not change anything. As long as the Marines don't show up. If the Marines show up and do something, then everything I say goes out the window. But if the Marines don't show up and do anything, whatever, a month from now, weeks from now, whatever time, I would say 3 weeks, whatever. We won't be talking about it. I wasn't going to bring this up because I thought in like 3 weeks, we won't even be talking about it anymore. It'll be gone. They won't even know about it anymore. So, peace over on Rumble. Gifted a membership. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. Please, guys, if you want to grab it, remember our rules. If you make $20 million a year, you may not take the free subscription. If you make less than 20 million, you may. There's the rule. So there we go. I hope I answered your question, Grace, by the way. Thank you for that. I do appreciate it. Yes. All righty. Nathan says, I wish people would get desperate to try something new. Yes, but only when there's hope. That's my point. They only change when there's hope, which means a plan. Without a plan, people don't change. That's not how it works. There has to be a plan. Yes. Rick says, thank you for being a member, Rick. I will give Trump this. He kept his campaign promises, even if he doesn't have the power to keep them legally. You're not wrong. You're not wrong, Rick. Look, you got to give the man credit where credit is due. True. That is an accurate statement. Yes, absolutely. Mastermind says 100% they have live coverage of riots because they want more riots. Also true. Also true. This makes good TV. There's no doubt. Yes. Grace says, I have a feeling this Marine deployment could have the potential of a Kent State moment. Grace, you've hit it perfectly. You've hit it perfectly. That's exactly my problem. It's exactly my worry. This Marine thing is a bridge too far. I know I keep saying it, but it's true. I can't say it enough. I can't say enough. It is a bridge too far. I hope he doesn't do it. I hope nothing. I hope it's I'm gonna put him out there, scare you guys into action, and then send him home. It's fine. I don't like it, but that's I'm not prepared to fight on that hill. Send him and whatever and leave. It's fine. That's good. Yes. Proud Bet says the left has called every Republican president since Hoover a fascist. 9% of his power is derived from the things Democrats do without the consent of the governed. But to be fair, they called Obama. Remember that picture of Obama with the mustache? They called by Hitler. So yes, but the right does it too. The right does it too. They all do it, and it's dumb because the only guy who's Hitler is Hitler. Nobody else is. And I'm not Jewish. If I was Jewish, I'd be angry at that. I'd be like, no. That was the guy. The rest of you guys are not the guy. That was the guy. I'm not Jewish, so whatever. It doesn't affect me that much, but I get it. So, any case, let's keep going down here. All righty. Proud Vet goes on to say, I think Trump's in trouble with Russia over the bombers. I brought that up. Usually I don't cover Ukrainian war that much, but I covered that piece. And people got mad at me. They were like, Larry, why are you saying that you're like a Putin puppet or whatever? I get that shit all the time. But no, that one thing was an issue. That attack was an issue because for those who don't know, that affected our treaties. That was an issue. And we were barely holding on to our treaties. Those treaties, I thought it was a SALT treaty, but I think it was Rick who corrected me. It was actually the START treaty. I thought it was SALT, but it was START. And the Russians were barely holding on to it. They were like, we're kind of in, we're kind of not, but we're going to keep our bombers out so you can see them. So you keep your bombers out. So it was kind of iffy because Putin was trying to kind of get out of it, but kind of not. But now after that happens, that's going to end it. That's a problem. So, yeah. Craig says, we'll see how it plays out and how he handles it. But right now, there's a lot of Mexican flags in media, and Trump's base is not like that. True. In fact, a lot of Americans don't like that. Americans like Mexican Americans. They don't like people who think that they're Mexican in America. That's how a lot of Americans think, right? They want you to be a Mexican American. That's what they want. If you can see right now, there's my flags. There, I have my flags here, right? I have flags here. The American one's on top because I'm an American first. That's my father's flag when he passed. I got that because he was a veteran. And then German flag underneath that. So yes. So I'm proud of my German heritage. Of course I am. Proud of my black heritage. Of course I am. Right? I've got a shirt with the Pan-African flag. I don't have it on now, but I have that shirt. I can't wear that shirt because it's got green on it and the green screen goes through it. So I can't wear that shirt. But yeah, but too. I'm proud of that heritage, but I'm still American first. I'm always going to be American first, even though I like my heritage. So of course. So Robert is in the house. I'd hope that the U.S. military would just not engage. Will they show up and possibly support the National Guard with tents, cots, and food? I could see that. But I hope the command, at the very least, these soldiers will push back. Look, if you want that, you don't call them Marines. That's not what Marines do, right? There's an entire Army Corps that does stuff like that. Whole support corps does that. Supply corps does that. If you have that problem, that's what you do. You don't call Marines for that. I'm with you, but you don't call Marines for that. There's other services you call for that. That's the issue. There we go. All right. Rick says, Passe Comitatus Act is a federal law signed June 18th, 1887 by President Rutherford B. Hayes that limits the powers of the federal government in the use of the federal military personnel. There we go. So now we know. Rick has helped us out. It goes on for domestic policing. Yes, and it should be. It should be. Yes, it should be. I completely agree with that. So Mike says, to be fair, I did like the answer of staying in New York City by Mamdani, but he's still an insane socialist and should not win. Coleman either. You were on the same page. I can still accept that was a good answer, even though I don't want Mamdani to win. That still was a good answer, right? I give credit where credit was due. Good answer. I'm not voting for you, but I'll give, nicely done. Right? Why do I do that? Some people think it's nutty for me to do that. But I do that because I want us as people to reward good behavior by anybody. If we as Americans do that more and more, then by default, people will do the things that we want them because reward. If we just call a guy an idiot or a Nazi or a fascist or a whatever, or Marxist, no matter what they do, why would they ever do anything good that we would like? They would never. Why would they? If you're going to smack me no matter what, I'm never going to make you happy. I'm just going to smack you back. It's going to make you mad because you're going to smack me anyway, so I don't care. But if when I do something you like, you go, Larry, nice. That was good. Thanks, Larry. That was a good one. Oh, okay. I'll do it again. but you also can create single issue coalitions to get something done that we all agree upon, versus me having to agree with every single thing you agree upon, even if I don't, or I can't get anything done. Right? That's the issue. That's the issue. So, yes, I agree with you. It was a good answer. It was a good answer. And I don't want him to win, but it was a good answer. So, all righty. If I can go down here, if I can. Mastermind says, what's the difference? All the police are ex-military anyway. That's cute. A lot of them are. I strongly believe that military service should exclude someone from becoming a peace officer. I'm not sure I buy that piece. I'm not sure we should be excluding people. And not every military person is in the aggressive side of it. It takes us, 7 people to support one infantryman, something like that. There's a lot of support structure. But the training should be different. And depending upon where you are, training as a police officer is very varied. There are some places where the training is embarrassing, and some places where it's amazing. You want to train people in de-escalation, train people in how to handle the public, train people in local laws, train people in things like probable cause, train people in things, obviously like due process. You don't have to train Marines on that. They're not required. They need the Uniform Code of Military Justice, and that's it. So yeah, that's the difference. I think training is the key. That's the issue. So Kim says, I've been in and out all evening. I've had a rough couple of days. Very happy to see you all. Thank you all. Thank you, Larry. Oh, Kim, thank you. And thank you. Kim, by the way, sends me a lot of stuff. I don't always say what she sends me because I don't know if she wants me to tell people or not. But a lot of stuff you see, a lot of times Kim sends me. So yes, thank you for being a member, Kim. I appreciate it. Yes, I do appreciate that. It does make things easy. It does make things better. So yes. Where am I here? Michael says, Larry, we hate you for your freedom. True. Absolutely. True. 100%. All righty. Let's see. Patty says, going to miss you over the next week. Stay safe, you guys. I'll see you everyone in 2 weeks. You're taking off? Yeah, and I'll be out. But I am on tomorrow. By the way, a programming note. I'll be on tomorrow at 1, my radio show, 1 p.m. Eastern, my radio show normal, and a special show. Tomorrow will be a special Sharpe show at 3 p.m. Eastern, talking with Michael Termott about can we use the Republican and Democratic parties to move liberty forward, right? To be there. That's the issue. So, yes. Mike says, wrong at Larry. The Biden/Harris plan was for Dems to win the next election. That was more important than any foreign domestic issue. What do you mean plan? Oh, you mean, but no, that's not for immigration. That wasn't, no, that there was no plan. There was no plan for immigration is the issue. That's why I don't think it was done well. And she didn't say anything. If her plan was that, she could have actually said that. She could have actually said, we need the immigrants for whatever reason, and here's my plan to use them, or blah, 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 whatever the case may be, right? She absolutely could have done it, but she didn't. She could have said that. Democrats have been fine with it. Absolutely. So, Phil, $2 says, MLK smartly got the police to be violent on TV. I'm not sure that was his plan, but yes, true. Yes. And I think I bring it up often. People say, the civil rights leaders of the 60s were amazing. They were. But there were amazing civil rights leaders in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. They weren't just in the 60s. Why did the 60s work? Phil's point, TV. TV was a big deal. The civil rights leaders who were doing their best in the 30s, 40s, and 50s weren't seen by the entire country. And again, as I say all the time, the majority of Americans are not racist. Even back then, the majority of the individuals aren't racist. They're tribal, but they're not racist. So what happened when all of a sudden, to Phil's point, people all over the country saw black people being, attacked by dogs and put the fire hoses? What a lot of white people said was, damn, I don't really like black people that much. I don't want them in my neighborhood, but man, they're still people. I don't want them eaten by dogs. I'm not that bad, am I? And things changed. I wish I was joking. It was literally that's what actually happened. If you ask people in the 60s, they will tell you that happened. Like, I'm not. There was literally there was a movie with John Voight in the 70s called Conrack, if I remember it right. And it was a story about a guy who used to be, a bad guy, racist guy, but then he got to actually see what was happening. And he became this super anti-racist guy. And he goes into, I've got Mississippi or Alabama, and he starts teaching in black schools. It's an interesting story. In the end, he gets screwed over, of course, because that's what happens. But anyway, I'm not going to say what happens in case you watch the movie. Conrack, I think it's the 70s. John Voight was in it. So that's same concept. Same concept. Yes. Missy says, special show tomorrow at 3 p.m. True. Absolutely correct. Mike goes, the teacher in the South. Oh, yes. Yes, that was a good one. I enjoyed that one. That was a good one. Yes, that was a good one. That kind of covers that piece. It does kind of cover it. So, yeah. All righty. Let's see if I can grab this one here. All righty. Adam says, thank you, Larry. I've been saying this for years. When idiots compare any political to Hitler, it diminishes what the Jewish people went through. It does. It does. I don't really say it that much because I'm not Jewish, so I don't really have the place. But my gut says I feel the same way, right? I feel the same way. I mean, that's special. Like, that's special. That's all I'm saying. Yes, that is special. So, Mastermind says, Trump calling the National Guard in the Marines finally pushed my wife into TDS. Marines is a bad idea. I'm telling you guys. Marines is a bad idea. That's all I'm saying. It's a bad idea. Here's what I'm going to ask you one more time, if I could, guys. Please click the button known as like, if you would. It does matter. If you haven't shared this, please share this. As I always ask you, please share it. If you can become a member, please do so. $49 does help. Every bit counts. Please do that if you can. And I'm going to ask you always, Mr. Rhythm, Algo, he loves it. He loves if you actually comment after the live is over. So once it's done, please come back wherever you are. If you have Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, come back and post a comment. And I'm going to ask you, please post. What do you think about the National Guard and Marines going into LA? What do you think about the National Guard and Marines? What's your opinion? Yes or no, good or bad? Am I crazy? Am I right? Doesn't matter. Please put your in there, and I will try my best to respond today or tomorrow. I will respond on that if you can. Please put that if you would. And by the way, if this is not live, and you're going to see, you're watching maybe you're watching a couple days later, you're going to see 2 different videos pop up right here. When you see them pop up, please click on one and watch for at least 8 minutes. Mr. Rhythm likes that very much also. I'll be on tomorrow at 1 and again at 3 Eastern. I will see you all